Chapter 3379. Xiao Rui, don't mess around. You're a top-notch master now, why are you still so naughty? Your brother-in-law is House Song's benefactor, and also your sister's choice. It's not up to you to decide. Song Xiangwen quickly said. He was very concerned about things that involved Lin Yi. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, House Song wouldn't have its current status. He's a man and he's still not my opponent. He's not worthy of my sister. Song Lingrui wanted to see the world in chaos. Even if he can't beat me, he should at least tie with me, right? Your sister is very busy now. I don't know if she has time to come back. Let's talk about it when she's free. Song Xiangwen had a headache. He knew that Song Lingrui was a little like a little witch. Although he heard from Lingshan that Lin Yi was now a sky-class mid-phase, it was impossible for him to fight against a sky-class late-phase peak full circle. What Song Xiangwen knew about Lin Yi was limited to the noble house level. At most he knew a little on the hidden level. As for the ancient level, he really didn't have any information channels. So he didn't know that Lin Yi had shaken the entire Huaxia practitioner world. So, he was afraid that Lin Yi would be beaten up by Song Lingrui. That wouldn't be good. No matter what, Lin Yi was House Song's benefactor, and someone Lingshan liked. How could he be beaten up by Song Lingrui? So, Song Xiangwen was afraid that Song Lingrui would cause trouble for Lin Yi in private. He didn't even dare to say Lin Yi's name. He could only evade, hoping that Song Lingrui would forget about it in a few days. Alright, I'll call her myself later. Song Lingrui didn't want to give up. Second master. I've already ordered the kitchen to prepare a sumptuous banquet. Let's go. Song Xiangda also saw that Song Xiangwen didn't want to talk about Lin Yi, so he changed the topic. That's great. I haven't eaten home food for a long time. I'm drooling. Is there any Yanjing roast duck? Song Lingrui's mouth watered when she heard that there was going to be a sumptuous banquet. Yes, second Missy, the chef downstairs is baking. Song Xiangda nodded and said. Then what are you waiting for? I want to eat. Sure enough, Song Lingrui temporarily forgot about finding trouble with Lin Yi, which made Song Xiangwen feel relieved. These days, the Hidden Tang family had not been living well. Among the hidden families, other than the Zhao family, who had a grudge against Lin Yi, there was also the Yu family, who had a close relationship with Lin Yi. Among the other families, the weakest was the Hidden Tang family. The relationship between the Hidden Tang family and Lin Yi was very subtle. Tang Boss's daughter, Tang Yin, was Lin Yi's girlfriend. However, Tang Boss broke off the father-daughter relationship with Tang Yin, and even chased away Tang Yin's biological mother, Xiaoming. In this way, the Hidden Tang family broke off their relationship with Lin Yi. If it wasn't for the friendship between Tang Yun and Lin Yi, the Tang family would probably be in an even more awkward situation. Although Tang Boss went to Snow Valley and obtained Tang Yun's forgiveness, it was only forgiveness. It could only mean that Tang Yun or Lin Yi couldn't find trouble with the Hidden Tang family in the future. However, it was impossible to obtain any benefits from them. Originally, if there were no accidents, it would be good enough that this relationship could be maintained. After all, the Tang family had their own businesses and properties. As long as Lin Yi and Tang Yun didn't find trouble with them, they could live well. However, now, someone had their eyes on the Hidden Tang family. Several of the Hidden Tang family's properties near the Tang family fortress had been robbed. Moreover, the robbers were a group of people similar to death warriors. They didn't communicate with others at all, and directly started robbing. Moreover, their strength was very strong, enough to fight against a Heaven Stage Master. Although Tang Taizheng was an early stage Heaven Stage Master, he was surrounded and beaten up by a group of Heaven Stage Masters. Not only did he not gain the upper hand, but he was also seriously injured. This made everyone in the Tang family feel gloomy. Tang Taizheng was lying on a wheelchair. Beside him were his eldest son, Tang Boss, his second son, and his grandson Tang Yin. Everyone tell me, what should we do? Where did this group of people come from? A large group of death warriors with Heaven Stage strength came to rob our Tang family's properties. If this continues, won't our Tang family be robbed clean? Who knows when they will come to our Tang family's base camp to commit murder. I can't stop them even if I want to. Tang Taizheng's face was gloomy. The Tang family had become a hidden aristocratic family and had been powerful for hundreds of years. Who would have thought that they would be bullied? I think the most important thing is to find out where these people came from. If they are from the hidden level, we will contact the Hidden Aristocratic Family Arbitration Association and then reveal it to a few powerful ancient sects and ask them to make a decision. Tang Boss said after thinking about it. The hidden level can't have so many heaven stage masters. If there were, then it wouldn't be a hidden level anymore. They would all be in the ancient level. Tang Taijung shook his head. Moreover, that Hidden Aristocratic Family Arbitration Association only exists in name. It's useless to respond. How about we go to Snow Valley and ask for Elder Tang Yun's help? Tang Yun's second son thought about it and said, in the end, Tang Yun is Big Brother's daughter, my niece. She can't just watch as the Tang family is in trouble, right? No. You didn't see Xiao Ming's attitude towards me. Last time when I went with Yu, if it wasn't for Yu, she would have kicked us out. That's already extremely benevolent. How could she stand up for us? Tang Big Bro knew his own limits. He knew that asking Tang Yun for help at this time wouldn't have much of an effect. Moreover, Tang Yun is only an elder of Snow Valley. In the end, she still has the Grand Elder and the Valley Master. With her current strength, even if she makes a move, she won't be a match for those people. That's true. Tang Yun nodded. But this won't do, that won't do. Won't our Tang family be in danger? How about? Tang Yu hesitated and said, we asked the Supernatural Investigation Bureau for help. The Supernatural Investigation Bureau? Tang Taijung shook his head. The Supernatural Investigation Bureau only administers and coordinates the aristocratic families. With their strength, they can't interfere with the matters of the hidden level. What's the use of asking them? Chapter 3380. All right. Tang Taijung nodded. Find out where these people came from and why they're targeting us, the hidden house, and then come up with a countermeasure. Then, who's going to make the call? Boss Tang felt that this was a good idea. At least find out where these people came from first. I'll make the call myself. Boss Tang didn't give a damn about the investigation department before, but now, to show his sincerity, he had to make the call himself. This morning, Linny had just woken up and was making breakfast for Shu and Xen Yen when he got a call from Lingshan. Sweetheart, what are you doing? Lingshan's voice was soft, and it triggered a physiological reaction in him. I say, Lingshan, what are you doing so early in the morning? You don't need anything from me again, do you? Linny subconsciously thought that Lingshan had something to ask of him. Lingshan had been very busy with work before, and Linny had a lot of things to do as well. Linny had found a chance to raise her strength to Earth-class late-phase peak, and Linny had been busy with other things after that. He hadn't seen her since he came back. I got a promotion, Lingshan said. Promotion? You're the chief now? Where's June Bro? Linny paused. I'm still the vice chief, Lingshan denied. Still the vice chief? What kind of promotion is that? Linny didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Are you messing with me this early in the morning? Haha, no. I'm the vice chief of the investigation department, and the vice chief of the East Sea Police Department, Lingshan explained. Right now, my position as the vice director is even more important than a normal director's position. Wherever I go, people have to listen to my orders and orders. Why'd you go to the investigation department? And you're the vice chief? Uncle Feng's your subordinate now? Linny found it weird. This change in position was too big. After all, the investigation department had a lot of authority. A director Feng is my direct superior. He got promoted, and the old chief Xiao was getting old, so he was transferred to another department to be a leader. He's no longer in a dangerous position like this. Lingshan said, isn't it because you increased my strength that I'm here? I've become an Earth-class late-phase peak master, and I'm from a worldly family. They've been keeping in touch with the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, and now they've captured me to be their able-bodied man. But what about Qintian and the others? If Lingshan was going, wouldn't Qintian be going too? Wu Qintian didn't agree. He said he'd wait for you to come back and ask for your opinion. He's just an instructor in name. Lingshan explained. I'm different from him. I'm part of the system, and I'm the vice director of the police station. I have to obey my superior's orders, but Wu Qintian is different. I see. Lenny nodded, but he wasn't too interested in the position. You're looking for me, but I'm not interested. You're talking about this. No, we received a report from the hidden house this morning, and Director Feng hasn't agreed to help them yet, so he asked for my opinion first. That's why I called you first, Lingshan said weakly. Uft. Lenny didn't know what to say. Uncle Feng asked for your opinion. Why are you asking for mine? This is an internal matter. Isn't it because it involves the hidden house? You and Tang Yu from their house. Don't you know each other? Isn't she familiar? Lingshan suddenly remembered that she couldn't talk about Tang Yun, so she pushed Tang Yu out. What's going on? Plus, aren't the hidden houses not under the jurisdiction of the investigation department? Lenny was confused. Actually, after Uncle Feng took over the position, he wanted to bring the hidden houses under the jurisdiction of the investigation department. You know these uncertainties, and if we don't control them, they might do things that go against the rules of the world. Lingshan said, this is an opportunity. Director Feng doesn't want to miss it, but things are troublesome. It'll be fine if we handle it well, but if we don't, we'll lose face, and it'll have the opposite effect. Hidden houses, huh? It's good to integrate them. Lenny said faintly. Uncle Feng is right. This is an opportunity, and if we use it well, it won't be hard to integrate the hidden houses. Once this is done, send a notice to those hidden houses and normal sects in the name of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau and the Central Plains Cultivators Alliance. Tell them to join the Central Plains Cultivators Alliance and be under the control of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau and me. This will bring about benefits as well. When they're in trouble, I'll help them. If they don't want to, then they'll be my enemies. Ugh. Lingshan didn't expect Lin Yi to support her like this. She was very touched. Lin Yi, you're a good man. Thank you. I don't even know how to repay you. Actually, I have a lot of connections with the investigation department. I've trained there before, and no matter what, you and Uncle Feng are the closest people to me. Who else would I help if not you? Lin Yi smiled. Tell me, what happened to the hidden house? This has something to do with the case I've been investigating. Lin Yi, do you remember that unsolved bank robbery? Lingshan said. Bank robbery? I think it was Zhang Wen who did it. Lin Yi said straightforwardly. Only he could make those weird puppets to rob banks and jewelry stores. That's what you say, but I'm a police. I can't do anything without evidence. Plus, he's not doing it anymore, and I can't find any clues. Lingshan sighed helplessly. But this case with the hidden Tang house isn't that different from the bank robbery. What do you mean? Lin Yi asked, interested. Chapter 3381. This is similar to the jewelry store and bank robberies, as well as the kidnapping case. You're saying that this is all Zhang Wen's doing? Lin Yi asked directly. Whether or not it's Zhang Wen's doing, we don't know yet, but I feel like these cases are very similar. We can investigate them together. Plus, it's beyond the police. The department is taking over now. Lingshan said. The main problem is that in our department, the strongest practitioners are just me and Wu Qintian, who's just an outsider. We're not a match for those death warriors at all. You're saying that you want me to help? Lin Yi finally understood why Lingshan was calling. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Lingshan was a little embarrassed. Do you have time? When do we leave? Lin Yi asked after some thought. The sooner the better. House Tang won't be able to hold on much longer. Lingshan said. Let's leave today then. Lin Yi thought about it. He didn't have anything to do yet, and Yushu couldn't leave for the next 2 days. Lin Yi didn't have anything else to do either, so he agreed right away. That's great. Lingshan was very excited. Lin Yi, I love you. This is great. I've just arrived at the department, and I've made a huge contribution. From now on, the hidden houses will be under the control of the department, and I'll be the founder. Lin Yi didn't know what to say, but he remembered that Lingshan was the type of person who cared a lot about achievements and glory. He'd help her if he could. Come find me when you're ready. All right, you're a good man. Lingshan hung up happily. Lin had to tell Yushu and Xinyan that he was going out. But this time, he planned on bringing Xinyan along. After 2 days of training, Lin realized that Xinyan hadn't fainted at all. In fact, she was full of energy. In other words, the method of training, while lying in the energy stones, was very doable. Lin would put the stones in the jade space to charge during the day, and take them out at night. Basically, the stones wouldn't lose any energy, and there wouldn't be a gap in time. Oh, it smells so good. I think Shield Bro made that pork porridge for me and Yao Yao. Yushu woke up and gasped at the sight of the pot of mincemeat porridge in the dining room, her mouth watering. Seeing that Shu was back to normal, Lin couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. It seemed like Shu had accepted the fact that she was going to Flaming Mountain. Xinyan woke up as well, but she wasn't as exaggerated as Yushu. She liked Lin Yi's cooking, but she didn't scream. She just sat at the table quietly and started serving porridge. I'm planning on going out for a bit. There's something I need to take care of. Shu, can you stay here? Lin asked after some hesitation. What about Xinyan, sis? Yushu didn't answer and asked instead. She's coming with me, Lin said. Shu, you know that Xinyan can help me with my training. Then, can Shu come with you? Yushu raised her head and looked at Lin. Shield Bro, this is the last time I'm going out with Shu. Okay. Lin looked at Shu's eyes and didn't have the heart to reject her. Shu was right. This might be the last time he was going to take her out. I'll give Xiaoke a call and we'll go. Xiaoke and Udake went to the orphanage these 2 days. Xiaoke still couldn't bear to leave the orphanage, so she went with her brother to see if there was anything she could do. At the very least, she needed to tell Ken about the future development of the orphanage before she left. Xiaoke heard that Lin was going out and naturally, she rushed back. In fact, the orphanage didn't need her to do much anymore. Her method of making money really wasn't suitable for the orphanage now. The orphanage needed to develop well in the long term. And stealing was definitely not a good idea. Fatty Lai hired a few financial experts to operate a welfare fund and invest all the money into the construction of the orphanage. This was the final development model. The main reason why Lin brought Xiaoke was for safety. With Xiaoke's protection, Lin was basically invincible in a fight with others. Lin was ready when Lingshan drove over. Her car was still the Cheetah, but after parking it in Lin Yi's villa, she got in Lin Yi's Grand Cherokee. Lin Yi's car was specially modified by the Supernatural Investigation Department. The performance and comfort were good, suitable for long-distance driving. Lin looked at the valiant Lingshan, suddenly noticing that her chest seemed to have gotten a lot bigger. Did this girl get her breasts enlarged? Feeling Lin Yi's gaze, Lingshan was a little proud. How is it? You're about to surpass Shu, right? This was the happiest thing for Lingshan. Shu didn't like her in the past, and she thought that she wasn't inferior to Shu in any way except for the fact that her chest wasn't as big as Shu's. Although the two made up after Lin got injured and fainted, Lingshan still wanted to surpass Yushu. After Lingshan joined the Supernatural Investigation Department, her routine training increased a lot. Lingshan was a spiritual practitioner, so she basically ignored the physical training that only physical practitioners would do. But the Supernatural Investigation Department had their own rules. Even Director Feng Tianlong had to participate in the routine training. So how could Lingshan be special? What Lingshan didn't expect, however, was that some of the routine training like push-ups and chin-ups actually helped her chest develop a second time. It was getting bigger and bigger, and now it was finally going to surpass Yushu's. I'm younger than you, I can still grow, Yushu said with disdain. Lingshan and Lingshan had made up, but the two still didn't see eye to eye. You're not as tall as me. If you grow any taller, you'll be too heavy, and you'll have to hold your weight when you go out. It's so tiring, Lingshan said sarcastically. All right, Lingshan, Shu, stop arguing. What's there to argue about? Look at how nice Xiaoke is, she doesn't mind, Lin said, feeling a headache coming on. Thief sis, can you teach me how you got your chest enhancement? Xiaoke said weakly. Chapter 3382. Female Thief. Lingshan looked at Lin surprised. You told her? Yeah, she knows. Otherwise, she wouldn't be this close to me. You know her personality, don't you? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Oh. Lingshan nodded and didn't say anything else. The five got in the car. Yu Dake stayed at home to look after the house, and the car headed towards Hidden Tang's house. On the way, Lin Yi felt like he had been to Hidden Tang's house before, but at the same time, he felt like he hadn't been there. There were a few fragments in his memory, but they didn't fit together. This made Lin Yi a little confused. What was wrong with him? Ever since he went crazy, Lin Yi seemed to have forgotten a lot of things. Some of them seemed to be very important, but Lin Yi had no recollection of them at all. This made Lin Yi feel helpless, but there was nothing he could do about it. After all, Lin Yi didn't know what he'd forgotten. It was just a feeling, and even if he asked someone else, he wouldn't know how to ask. They wouldn't know what he'd forgotten, or what he'd remembered. Lin Yi didn't even know who he'd been with when he'd forgotten those memories. Hidden Tang's house. After hearing that the investigation department had taken over the case, they sent people to investigate as fast as they could. Tang Taijung showed enough sincerity, sending eldest Tang to welcome them at the gate. Of course, from Tang Taijung's point of view, sending his eldest son to greet the people from the investigation department was already giving them enough face. In the past, the investigation department didn't need the head of the house to greet them personally. The jeep slowly approached, and Lin Yi stopped the car beside eldest Tang. But when he saw that only one person from Hidden Tang's house came to greet them, he couldn't help but frown. Of course, Lin Yi wasn't someone who liked to put on airs. But the Hidden Tang's face wasn't for Lin Yi, but for the investigation department, for Lingshan and Tianlong. Their attitude made Lin Yi very unhappy. Lingshan saw that Boss Tang had come to greet them, and wanted to get out of the car. But Lin Yi stopped her. Big Bro Tang was originally waiting for the people in the car to get off, but when he saw that the car had stopped for a long time, and no one got off, he suddenly became a little annoyed. Even if I beg your Supernatural Investigation Bureau, you don't have to put on airs like this, right? Even the strongest among you isn't at the heaven rank. What kind of ostentatious display are you putting on here? Do I need to personally invite you out of the car? As he thought of this, Big Bro Tang opened his mouth. There was a hint of resentment in his voice. Friends from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, why aren't you getting out of the car? What's the meaning of this? Lin Yi casually opened the window. Before, because of the film on the window, eldest brother Tang couldn't see the people inside the car, so he didn't know that Lin Yi was inside. When Lin Yi spoke, he was shocked. Is this how the Hidden Tang family asks for help? Lin Yi said coldly. We're here. And the Tang family sent you to welcome us alone? Gah! When Big Bro Tang heard Lin Yi speak, this voice was still fresh in his memory. Especially when he saw Lin Yi's face, he was suddenly scared. It's young hero Lin who has graced us with his presence. I thought it was someone from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. I used to be a member of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Didn't you know? Lin Yi sneered and asked. Huh. Big Bro Tang was stunned. He didn't expect the Supernatural Investigation Bureau to have such a strong backer. Of course, this backer had only recently become powerful. At the level of the Hidden Tang family, they could more or less come into contact with some of the things that happened in the ancient times. They knew some of Lin Yi's deeds. In the ancient times, there weren't many people who dared to go against Lin Yi. Not to mention this, just from the hidden level alone, Lin Yi could already be said to have destroyed any family he wanted. Didn't House Zhao, who had hosted the Hidden House Summit, get wiped out just like that? At that thought, Big Bro Tang quickly said, My father is personally preparing a banquet for all of you. Please forgive me for not being a good host. I'll call him right now and ask if he's ready. Haha. Lin Yi chuckled, not denying it. Big Bro Tang quickly took out his phone and called Tang Taijung. Father, is the banquet ready? If it's ready, come out and welcome us. Young hero Lin and the others are here. Tang Taijung was sitting in the living room, waiting for Lingshan. When he received the call, he froze. Preparing a banquet? Didn't they already prepare a banquet? Plus, Tang Taijung, as the head of the house, didn't need to prepare a banquet himself? Wait, what did Big Bro Tang say? Young hero Lin was here? He was going to welcome him? Who was this young hero Lin? But Tang Taijung also knew that Big Bro Tang wouldn't call him for no reason. There had to be a reason why he was lowering his status in front of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. So Tang Taijung stood up and said to Second Bro, "Second Bro, go to the kitchen and tell them to prepare a banquet of the highest class." "Yes, father." Second Bro Tang was a little puzzled. Why did his father change his mind with just a call from Big Bro? The banquet before was of a high standard, but that was only relative. It could only be said that it was used to entertain guests from the hidden world. The highest class banquet was used to entertain guests from the ancient world. Could it be that such a guest had come today? Tang Taijung thought about who this young hero Lin was as he walked. A few steps later, when he was almost at the door, he suddenly thought of a person. It made him shiver, and he quickened his steps again. When Tang Taijung reached the Tang Fortress, he saw Lin Yi in the driver's seat, talking to Big Bro Tang. He knew that he had guessed correctly. The only person who could make Big Bro Tang so nervous was Lin Yi. This young man, who didn't even put the ancient world in his eyes, had been suppressed by several families at the Hidden House Summit some time ago. But now, even the people from the ancient sects didn't dare to cause trouble for him. Things were really unpredictable. If Tang Taijung had known that this would happen, he wouldn't have suppressed Lin Yi, and he wouldn't have separated Big Bro Tang and Tang Yin from their father-daughter relationship at the banquet. It was a bad move. One wrong move, and everything went wrong. "Young hero Lin, you're here. I didn't think that this matter would bother young hero Lin. It's such an honor to have you here, hero Lin," Tang Taijung said with a smile as he ran over to flatter Lin Yi. Chapter 3383. But his words stunned Lin Yi, who was House Tang's son-in-law. Since when did he become House Tang's son-in-law? Seeing Lin Yi standing there, Boss Tang felt awkward. Tang Taijung didn't know what Lin Yi's expression was, and didn't know what to say. "Shield bro, I think they've gone crazy thinking about their son-in-law." Yushu got out of the car and said to Lin Yi, "Right, Ice Palace's Bingtang seems to be related to House Tang." Oh, Lin Yi understood. Could it be that House Tang heard that Bingtang was going to be his little wife, and so they treated him as their son-in-law? Seeing Lin Yi's indifferent expression, Boss Tang didn't dare to say more. He thought that Lin Yi was angry at House Tang for breaking off the relationship with Tang Yun at the birthday banquet. If Lin Yi's anger hadn't subsided, wouldn't it be suicide to say more? "Young hero Lin, I've already ordered the kitchen to prepare dinner. Do you want me to sit now, or do you want to rest first?" Tang Taijung didn't dare to mention Tang Yun anymore. He became more and more respectful towards Lin Yi. He even called himself I to ask for Lin Yi's forgiveness. Although there were some dishes that Tang Taijung had asked Second Bro to add later, it didn't mean that all the dishes had to be served before they could be eaten. So, with the addition of the dishes that had been prepared beforehand, it was time to sit down and enjoy the banquet. "I'm not hungry nor tired. We came here to solve a problem. Let's talk about your hidden house Tang first." Lin Yi waved his hand and rejected Tang Taijung's suggestion. He went straight to the main topic. Lin Yi was a chef himself. He didn't need this dinner. He was also a practitioner. This kind of journey was nothing to him. "Ah, that's good. Master Lin Chief Song, this way please. Who are these three?" Tang Taijung didn't know Yushu or Xiaoka. Hidden House use Yushu, Thief Sex Flying Sparrow Warrior, and Sky Elixir Sex Kong Mingming's brother's fiancé. Lin Yi gave a simple introduction. "They're all my closest friends." "Ah, I've heard a lot about you." Tang Taijung quickly cupped his fists and said. However, he had never heard of these three people before. Especially the last one, Kong Mingming of the Heavenly Elixir Sect. He knew Elder Kong. But how did Kong Mingming's brother's fiancé get involved with Lin Yi? This Lin Yi was really amazing. How could this be possible? Then Kong Mingming agreed? However, he seemed to have agreed. Otherwise, why would he not even dare to fart until now? With that thought, Tang Taijung felt that Lin Yi was even more amazing. "Elder Tang, you're really knowledgeable. Yushu used to be from the common House Chen. She just found out that she's from House Yu. She made up the name Flying Sparrow Warrior. Her name is Xiaoka," Lin Yi said. As for Wang Xinyan, I've already forced Kong Ming Ming to tell his brother to scram. She's my girlfriend now. Tang Taijung immediately blushed with shame. He had only said a few words of compliment. How could he have known that he had flattered the wrong person? He immediately felt a little depressed. The people around Mr. Lin are all ruthless people, so they must be famous. But he had heard that Lin Yi had actually forced Kong Ming Ming's brother to scram. Just how powerful did he have to be to force Kong Ming Ming to submit? The group entered the Tang house's guest room. Tang Taijung wanted to give the main seat to Lin Yi, but Lin Yi waved his hand and sat on the guest seat. Lin Yi didn't care at all. Elder Tang, it's not like we've never met before. Let's talk. Alright, I won't hold back. It's like this. With that, Tang Taijung told Lin Yi and the others about the things that had happened in the Tang property. Of course, these were all things that Tang Taijung had told Lingshan before. So you're saying that these people have been robbing us these past 2 days? Lin Yi asked. Yes, they came yesterday, and the day before yesterday. They came consecutively. I don't know if they'll come again today. Tang Taijung said helplessly. Our hidden house Tang just started a lot of businesses in the common world. If this keeps up, we're going to go bankrupt. Although the hidden Tang family used to have business, it was all in the dark. Now that the hidden family association's restrictions had failed, the Tang family became unscrupulous. Of course, it wasn't just the Tang family. Other hidden families were the same. Everyone ran to the common world to make money. Hidden families had many ways to make money anyway. As a matter of fact, the hidden Tang family wanted to earn a huge sum of money, so they invested all of their family's assets into many industries. The jewelry industry, the rare medicinal material industry, the retail and wholesale industry, the private loan industry, and so on. Originally, these industries had the support of House Tang, and they were all thriving. But who would have thought that a group of robbers would suddenly appear and start robbing House Tang's properties? Jewelry stores, rare medicine stores, retail stores, private lending companies, all of them were robbed. However, House Tang couldn't close down, or else the companies that had just gained popularity would have to start all over again. So, House Tang could only ask for help from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau while replenishing their resources. If that's the case, then why don't we just go to your stores and have a look? If someone tries to rob us, we'll be able to act immediately? Lin Yi said after some thought. That's a good suggestion. But the problem is that House Tang's properties are very scattered. We have properties in many cities nearby. With so many properties, if we go to one, we might not even see the robbers for a month. Tang Taijung said with a bitter smile. Fuck, aren't you hidden houses not allowed to do business? Why do you have so many properties? When Lin Yi heard that these properties weren't in the same place, and were even in different areas, he glared at Tang Taijung. Then there's no other way. We can only wait until you get robbed, and then we'll go catch the robbers. That's the only way. Tang Taijung nodded. Although he knew that there might be losses, at least Lin Yi's arrival could minimize the losses. Then everyone, let's go to the restaurant first. Then let's go. Lin Yi didn't have anything else to do, so he nodded and agreed. In order to get on Lin Yi's good side, Hidden House Tang had put in a lot of effort this time. The second Tang had the chefs pull out all the stops, making a feast that was similar to the Manchu Han Imperial Feast. Chapter 3384. Xingyan was a shy eater. This had always been her personality. Lingshan, on the other hand, was worried about the case, and so she only ate a little. Yushu was a foodie in the first place, and Xiaoke didn't get to eat anything good in the orphanage. With so much good food in front of her, it would be a waste if she didn't eat it. Naturally, she wanted to eat as much as she could. As the two of them were eating happily, Tang Taijung's cell phone suddenly rang. Tang Taijung wanted to reject the call. He didn't want to disturb Lin Yi and the others, but Lin Yi stopped him. Answer it, it might be something. All right. Tang Taijung nodded and quickly picked up the phone. However, after listening to 2 sentences, his face changed. What? The gold shop in Lihuan County got robbed? All right, I got it. Elder Tang, is something wrong? Lin Yi asked as he put down the cutlery in his hand. That's right. Our hidden house Tang's shop in Lihuan County got robbed, and they're committing the crime right now. Tang Taijung seemed very worried. Let's go now, Lingshan and I. Shu, Xiaoka and Xinyan, you guys stay here and continue eating, we don't need you guys. Lenny said quickly. I can help you. Xiaoka threw the plate in her hands away. It's just some sky class early phase, it'll be fine. Lenny waved his hand. You guys are tired from the long journey, and haven't eaten. Lingshan and I will be fine. Then. Alright. Xiaoka was very obedient, of course, she listened to the male thief. She knew that Lenny wouldn't do anything he wasn't confident in, and if there really was danger he wouldn't reject her. Lin Yi Lingshan, Tang Taijung, and Boss Tang left the banquet hall quickly, and Lenny asked as they walked. How far is this Lihuan County from here? 40 minutes by car. Tang Taijung said after some thought. Then we don't need to go. Lenny stopped. Ah. Tang Taijung stared blankly for a moment, before he immediately understood Lin Yi's meaning. He bitterly smiled and said, yeah, these people robbed very quickly. The slowest one didn't take more than 15 minutes. They came and left in a hurry. If we rush over now, we won't even see their shadows. Grandfather Tang, when did you start fighting with those people? How did you get there before those people left? Lin Yi asked. It's like this. The first place they robbed was one of the Tang family's own material management stations. This is the organization responsible for the daily expenses of our hidden Tang family. There are some natural treasures and cash in the station. Elder Tang replied. That place is relatively close to here, so I was able to get there in a short amount of time. I see. After that, the places they robbed became the Tang family's shops and companies? Lenny nodded and asked. Yes. Elder Tang sighed. It seems I have overlooked this point. Based on the current situation, it will be very difficult to fight them face to face. Let's not talk about that for now. What I find strange is, how did these robbers know what industries your Tang family owns? They even know which city and street it is located in. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? Could it be that you have a mole inside? Lenny couldn't help but suspect this. It was quite an inconceivable matter. That's not it. It's because the account books and distribution maps of these industries were in the material management station before. The material management station is also responsible for coordinating the cash flow of these shops. Those criminals got it when they robbed the material management station. Tang Taijung explained. So that's how it is. Then you were really careless and gave yourself to the robbers. Lenny felt a headache coming on. Do you have a copy of the distribution map of your family's industries? Let me have a look. Yes. Tang Taijung heard this and quickly turned to Elder Tang. Boss, go get second and you to the scene of the crime. Bring the distribution map of our family's industries here. Yes, father. Eldest brother Tang replied and retreated. After a while, Elder Tang returned with a map of their hidden family's industries and spread it on an empty table in the dining room. Mr. Lin, look. Tang Taijung pointed at a few industries on the map. These industries have been robbed, and this is Lihuan County. The gold shop here was robbed today. Do you have the sequence of the robberies? Mark the sequence of the numbers. I'll see if I can find the pattern of the robbers' movements. Lin Yi said to Tang Taijung. Lingshan's eyes lit up at Lin Yi's words. She couldn't help but admire Lin Yi. In fact, this was how she usually solved cases. But she was surprised that Lin Yi mentioned it. Lingshan admired Lin Yi's speed in solving cases. But Lin Yi didn't follow the rules. It was like the first time he found the bank robbers. He just walked around the cliff and found the location of the robbers. It was the same after that. So Lingshan thought that Lin Yi was using some special abilities of a practitioner to solve cases. But today, it seemed that Lin Yi was very familiar with the process. Perhaps it was because there weren't many clues this time. So Lin Yi started following the normal procedure. Before, Lin Yi was confident that he could find the suspects directly. Alright. Tang Taijung quickly picked up his pen and started drawing on the map. But when he was done, Lin Yi was speechless. This was a completely random crime. One day the next there was no pattern to follow. Many of the crime locations were completely different from each other. For the robbers, this was the most time-consuming method. But it was also the most effective way to avoid waiting for the right opportunity. It seemed that these robbers weren't afraid of anyone, but they were still worried about something. But this increased the difficulty of solving the case for Lin Yi and the others. Lingshan, what do you think? Lin Yi wasn't a professional after all. He had a lot of unique ways to solve cases, but he couldn't do anything about this kind of theory. Chapter 3385. If push comes to shove, we'll just have to wait at a place they haven't robbed before. Wait, Elder Tang, what do you mean by this? The 3rd and 6th crime locations are the same? Yes, who would have thought that they'd go back to the same shop again? We just restocked the goods and got robbed again, Elder Tang said, troubled. It's a random crime, and there's a possibility of going there again. That makes it harder for us to wait, Lingshan said as she slapped her forehead, evidently troubled. I think they might rob this place next time. Yushu walked over with a piece of tiramisu in her hand, sucking on her fingers as she pointed at an antique shop on the map. Is there any proof? Lingshan blinked, not understanding why Yushu would say that. I think so. Yushu didn't explain. What do you think? Prophet Shu's better than you, right? Prophet Shu. What a mess. Lingshan frowned. Shu, don't talk nonsense. You're targeting me. But don't bring your emotions into work. This kind of judgment can affect a lot of things. Lin Yi wanted to tell Yushu to stop messing around, but when she called herself Prophet Shu, he thought of something and his heart moved. Yushu's words had come true many times in the past, such as Zhao Qibing's skyscraper and legs. Lin Yi used to think that it was a coincidence, but after hearing Yu Xing's words, Shu and Ning as prophets should have a sixth sense in this area. Then, what she said about robbing an antique shop might really be possible. With that thought, Lin Yi said, Let's go, we'll go set it up tonight. Shield bro trusts Shu. Yushu was very pleased that Lin Yi listened to her. Lingshan paused. You trust her that much? We're just going to find a random place to wait for them anyways. Since Shu suggested it, we'll go here then. Lin Yi smiled casually. But the criminals didn't seem to have done anything to antique shops before. From a certain point of view, they probably wouldn't choose antique shops. After all, there's not much cash here, and antiques aren't easy to cash out. Lingshan analyzed. If this was really in Zhang Wen's doing, he would be able to sell the drugs and firearms, let alone the antiques, Lin Yi said. All right, let's go there then. Lingshan didn't really trust Yushu, but she trusted Lin Yi a lot. She nodded in agreement. Therefore, they packed up and went to an antique shop in Keikai Town that very night. Keikai Town was an ancient town with a large antique market. The Tang family antique store was located there. Lin Yi was driving a Grand Cherokee, while eldest brother Tang Taizhong, and the others were riding in a Land Cruiser. Both cars had excellent off-road performance, so it was not a problem for them to traverse the small roads of the ancient town. Lin Yi's guess was right. This was all Zhang Wen's doing. Zhang Wen had failed once in Donghai, and his plan to rob a hidden house had to be put on hold. After a period of silence, he saw that the time was right and decided to make a comeback, targeting the hidden house of Tang. First, hidden house Tang was quite far from Donghai, and Lin Yi wouldn't bother with their business. Second, hidden house Tang's business was very big, and they had invested in many profitable industries. It would be easy for them to get some benefits. Master Wen, I heard that hidden house Tang asked for help from the occult investigation department, and that bitch Lingshan got transferred to the department as the vice director. She's our bane. Chunjie said unhappily. Why don't we just kill her and be done with it? No, that song girl is Lin Yi's woman. I hate Lin Yi, but that guy's getting more and more vicious these days. Even ancient people aren't a match for him. It's best if I don't mess with him. He has a lot of people backing him now too. I didn't think that Ming Yao would become the palace master of the ancient night palace. I really can't get into a conflict with Lin Yi. Zhang Wen said hatefully. Just avoid that song girl. And if we really meet her, don't hurt her. Just retreat. Talk to the hypnotist later, and give him an order. Understood. Chunjie nodded. Then where should we rob tomorrow? Tomorrow. Zhang Wen opened up a map in front of him. It was a map of the properties he'd robbed from House Tang. This was a great weapon for robberies. Jiang Wen pointed at a location on the map. This antique shop. We've robbed so many gold shops, it's time for a change. We'll take some antiques and smuggle them out. All right, I'll go set it up right away, Chuanjie replied. Lingshan didn't think that the robbers would target this antique shop. After all, the transportation here wasn't very convenient. From an escape perspective, it wasn't easy to run away from. There were only small roads in the fields, and even an off-road car wouldn't be able to go that fast. Of course, she was only thinking from the perspective of a normal criminal. Jiang Wen wouldn't even think about these problems. This place was 3 hours away from the Tang headquarters, and even if the roads weren't easy to run from, his men would be long gone by the time the Tang came. Plus, even if they did come, they might not be able to stop his men. This was why Jiang Wen was so fearless and chose to target House Tang alone. The shopkeeper of the antique shop was a former disciple of House Tang, only mystic mid-phase. He wasn't a match for the robbers at all, and he'd been under a lot of pressure these days. Now that Tang Taijung had come with help, he let out a breath of relief. Disciple Tang Xiaogui greets the head of the Tang family, young Master Tang, second Master Tang, and all the masters present. Tang Xiaogui said respectfully, "You don't have to be so polite to us, but to these people, you have to be extremely respectful." This is Master Lin Yi. This is Director Song of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. This is Miss Chun, Miss Wang, and Miss Yu. They are all powerful heroines. Tang Taijung introduced. Yes, Tang Xiaogui replied quickly. The food here was obviously not as good as that in the Tang family fort. Although Tang Taijung also tried his best to order banquets from the most famous restaurants in the town, the standard was not as good as that of the Tang family fort, and the variety of dishes were not as good. Chapter 3386. It was a quiet night. Lin Yi hugged Xingyan and practiced, while Xiaoke and Yushu laid beside Lin Yi. There were limited rooms here, and Lin Yi stayed here in case something unexpected happened. Yushu didn't want to stay in an inn, so they slept together with Lin Yi. Fortunately, Lin Yi, Yushu, and Xiaoke were close enough that they didn't need to be shy. They were tired too, and fell asleep the moment they laid down. Lin Yi, on the other hand, kept an eye on the movements outside as he practiced. However, these robbers didn't seem to be working at night. They had been doing it in the day, as if they were looking down on House Tang. They didn't want to commit crimes at night. The next day was uneventful as well. There were quite a few customers in the antique shop, but there weren't many transactions. Most of the customers paid with credit cards, and very few paid with cash. This made Lingshan frown. She felt that the robbers shouldn't have chosen this shop with such a low cash flow. Morning, noon, and afternoon were quiet. The robbers didn't come here, nor did they come to the other shops of House Tang. Just when Lingshan thought that Yushu was bullshitting, a few people in white shirts and black pants barged into the antique shop without warning. After they came in, without saying a word, they began to move things down from the antique shelves and moved them to a white van at the entrance. Lin Yi had heard about how these people did things, but seeing it with his own eyes, he still felt that these people were too arrogant. They didn't put anyone in their eyes at all. However, Lin Yi felt that these people's eyes were a little dull, similar to the cyborgs Jiang Wen had made. "Stop!" Lin Yi shouted at one of the cyborgs. But the cyborgs didn't seem to hear him at all. Lin Yi had no choice but to block the cyborg's path. This time, the biohuman finally noticed Lin Yi. He threw the antique bottle in his hand at Lin Yi. These people were all following the hypnotist's instructions. They did not have their own thoughts, only instructions. The hypnotist had shown them Lingshan's picture, and Lingshan was on their white list. They wouldn't attack her, but Lin Yi wasn't. The cyborg, on the other hand, started attacking Lin Yi the moment he was stopped. This antique bottle was worth at least a few 100,000 yuan. Although Lin Yi had the money, he didn't want to waste it. He directly put it into the space of the jade pendant. Anyway, it was a mess now, and no one would ask about this. He could just give a perfunctory answer afterwards. Tang Taijung wouldn't dare to ask too much. Indeed, although Tang Taijung was puzzled about where the bottle went, he didn't even dare to fart. There was no other reason. He was afraid of affecting Lin Yi's battle. If it distracted Lin Yi, he would be guilty. So if a broken bottle was gone, then so be it. It didn't matter how it disappeared. Boom! Lin Yi threw a punch at the robber in front of him. He only used the 10th form of Frenzy Fist. His goal was to test the strength of this cyborg in front of him. However, what disappointed Lin Yi was that he only used the 10th form of Frenzy Fist, and the cyborg's chest caved in. The cyborg was sent flying and fell to the ground. He spat out mouthfuls of blood and struggled, but he couldn't get up. This kind of strength was not a strong opponent at all. Logically speaking, with Tang Taizhong's strength, he could easily kill these people. Why was he injured instead? Lin Yi was puzzled, but what happened next solved his doubts. The cyborgs who were moving the antiques felt that their companion was being attacked. They all put down what they were doing and attacked Lin Yi together. There were a total of 5 people left, and all of them attacked Lin Yi. When Yu Xiaoke saw this scene, she instantly panicked. She wanted to use Nua's heaven-mending technique to protect Lin Yi. However, Lin Yi saw this and shook his head saying, "There's no need. I'll test their strength first. If it doesn't work, I'll call you." Okay. Yu Xiaoke nodded, but she still used the mantra. However, she didn't use it. She was just prepared. The 5 people attacked Lin Yi at the same time. Lin Yi used the mantra to defend himself, and then he hit one of them. Boom! 4 fists landed on Lin Yi at the same time. Only one person was sent flying by Lin Yi. Lin Yi still used the 10th form of Frenzy Fist. Early stage of Heaven class. Lin Yi felt the strength of these 4 people. They attacked together. Even if Lin Yi used pure chi to protect his body, he still almost vomited blood. He quickly used the mantra to heal his injuries. Although the injuries were not serious, Lin Yi finally understood how Tang Taizhong got injured. At most he could fight 5. He attacked one person, and the others attacked him at the same time. It would be strange if he didn't get injured. If it wasn't for the fact that Lin Yi's strength was much higher than theirs, and Lin Yi could heal his injuries quickly, he would really be injured. And so Lin Yi did the same thing, taking out every single biohuman one by one. He couldn't avoid taking a few more punches, but the good thing was that these people didn't have any sort of pattern to their attacks. They were all direct, and Lin Yi was able to react and defend with ease. The robbers were all beaten to the ground by Lin Yi. The first 5 Lin Yi didn't show any mercy. Looking at the degree of damage to their chests, they probably wouldn't last long. But the last one, Lin Yi only knocked him to the ground, temporarily incapacitating him. Lin Yi wanted to keep at least one person alive, although Lin Yi didn't think that he would be able to get anything out of them. Lingshan, capture this person, and hand the rest to Elder Tang. Send them to the cemetery. Lin Yi said. All right. Lingshan skillfully cuffed the last biohuman. The others were clearly not going to survive. Tang Taizhong immediately ordered the Tang disciples to help, dragging them away. The antiques that were moved to the car were also returned. Tang Taizhong was very grateful to Lin Yi. If it weren't for Lin Yi, he would have lost a lot of money today. Not to mention he would have lost tens of millions. Young hero Lin, thank you for helping us today. Tang Taizhong said gratefully. I've prepared a small gift for you. I hope you won't reject it. What is it? Lin Yi didn't pretend to be polite and asked directly. Chapter 3387. Plus, Tang Taizhong was really afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't want it. He wanted to build a relationship with Lin Yi, so that he could trouble Lin Yi the next time. So he had to make Lin Yi happy. It's a bowl used by a leader of the everyday and everyday sect. It's a rare antique. How much is it worth? Lin Yi asked back. This, if it's the market price, it should be around 10 to 20 million, right? Tang Taizhong didn't expect Lin Yi to ask like that, but he still made a rough estimate. After all, any practitioner house that got their hands on something like this wouldn't sell it easily. This was something that could be traded for training resources. And it couldn't be measured with money. Oh, then 15 million. I'll give you an account number, and you can transfer the money over. Lin Yi said directly. You can keep the bowl for yourself, or you can sell it to the everyday and everyday sect. You can get a good price. Ugh, isn't it just 15 million? I'll give you 20 million. Hero Lin, you misunderstood me. This bowl is a thank you gift, and I'm not done yet. Tang Taijung gave the bowl to Lin Yi because he thought that Lin Yi wouldn't lack money. Lin Yi's cauldron was a very profitable item, so he didn't mention money. If he knew that Lin Yi liked money, he would have asked first. Oh, that's fine. Xiaoka, give him the account number. Lin Yi wasn't very interested in the bowl, so he put it in the jade space. The account number is XXXXX, and the name is Songshan Orphanage. Xiaoka said. Ahem. Okay, I'll remember. Tang Taijung paused. He realized that Lin Yi was doing this for the orphanage, not for himself. But it didn't matter. The money was given because of Lin Yi. It didn't matter who he gave it to, as long as Lin Yi was grateful. If there's nothing else, let's go back first. Lin Yi looked at Yushu surprised. It seemed that Yushu's prophecy ability was real. Yu Yuxing's words made sense. Okay, I will arrange the car. Tang Taijun quickly responded. Little Shu, I really have to thank you this time. I didn't expect you to be able to guess their crime location. Lingshan, on the other hand, was very straightforward. Yushu had guessed the location correctly, and that was why she and Lin Yi were able to get rid of the robbers. They'd even captured one of them. Yushu, other than Lin Yi, was the biggest contributor. What do you think? Are you convinced now? Yushu said proudly. So what if I admire you for solving the case? Lingshan, on the other hand, didn't let her emotions affect her decisions. She said seriously, Shu, do you think the robbers will commit more crimes? Where is their next target? It's still here, Yushu said. It's still here. Lingshan paused. Tang Taijung, who had just gone to prepare the car, paused as well. He quickly asked, Young Master Lin Chief Song, should we stay here for a while? Tang Taijung trusted Yushu very much. She was a prophet after all. She said they would rob an antique shop, so there had to be a reason why Yushu said the robbers would come again. We have to. Lin Yi shook his head. They've lost this time. Logically speaking, we wouldn't stay here. The robbers have the same thought, so they'll do the opposite. If we stay here and they see us, they won't move. You're right. Tang Taijung nodded. Then what should we do? We'll pretend to leave first, and find a place to stay. We'll be able to get to this place as soon as possible. Lin Yi said. That's the only way. Thank you, young Master Lin. Tang Taijung said quickly. Trouble is secondary. I've helped House Tang solve their problem, so shouldn't we talk business? Lin Yi said faintly as he looked at Tang Taijung. What business? Tang Taijung paused. He thought that Lin Yi wanted some sort of reward. After all, the reward was only for helping out this time. If he wanted Lin Yi to stay here, he'd have to pay a price. Why else would Lin Yi keep helping him? Let's find a place to stay first. We'll talk later. Lin Yi waved his hand and walked out. Chapter 3388. That's... Tang Taijung paused. He didn't expect Lin Yi to be talking about this. In actuality, how could Tang Taijung not know that the department controlled the common houses? But there weren't many of them that they could actually control. They could only coordinate among them. The one who was truly effective was Lin Yi. Lin Yi's cultivator union made these common houses submit to Lin Yi, listening to Lin Yi's orders. Only then did the department's words matter. Now the department was probably starting to make a move on the hidden houses. Should he agree or not? Logically speaking, House Tang asking for help from the department was equivalent to throwing out an olive branch. But House Tang was more inclined towards a cooperative relationship. Things could be discussed and not controlled. But since Lin Yi had said it, he didn't dare to reject. And he was afraid of losing face for the hidden houses. Next, I'm preparing to expand the scope of the Practitioners Association. My Practitioners Association and the Supernatural Investigation Department are two different groups. I've already appointed Lingshan as the vice chairwoman, helping me manage these things. Lin Yi didn't wait for Tang Taijung's reply and continued. The hidden houses that join the Cultivator Union will receive my protection, but they'll also have to accept Chairman Song's management. Of course, we won't care if anything happens to those who don't join. After all, our energy is limited, and we can only help the members of the Cultivator Union. Elder Tang, what's your decision? It's young Hero Lin's Cultivators Society. I know that. I've been wanting to join for a long time. I heard that Hidden House Han, House Zhuang, and House Pai are all members? Tang Taijung asked. Yes, they're definitely the first batch. Lin nodded. The rest is up to you, Elder Tang. If you agree now, you'll be one of the first batch. You'll be treated differently. Alright, I'll join. Tang Taijung didn't hesitate anymore, and made the decision. Hidden House Tang is willing to join young hero Lin's Cultivator Union, and will be under Chairman Song's management. Well, if that's the case, then there's nothing else. I'm going to rest. I still have to fight the robbers tomorrow. Lin nodded with satisfaction. Things were going well. Of course, if it weren't for the robbers, the Hidden Tang family probably wouldn't have agreed so easily. After all, the situation was pressing. Alright, young hero Lin, please. Tang Taijung hurriedly stood up to send him off. Tang Yu and the others also stood up. Lin nodded and went to rest. But Yushu and Lingshan had to be in the same room as Lin Yi. Xiaoke had to join them as well. Still, Lin Yi wasn't actually going to sleep. He was training with Xinyan in his arms. And it didn't really matter if there was one more or one less person in the room. And so a rather ridiculous scene happened at night. Lin Yi hugged Xinyan and laid on the bed. Lingshan, on the other hand, was very happy today. The occult investigation department was going to shine in her hands. In the past, the department couldn't even control the noble houses. But now they could control the hidden noble houses. Only Lingshan could understand the difference. The occult investigation department was finally strong. And Lingshan, as the vice director, felt very proud. And so in her heart, Lingshan loved Lin Yi very much. Seeing Lin Yi hugging Xinyan on the bed, she couldn't wait to lie down on the other side of Lin Yi. It wasn't that she was in a rush, but this was the only way she could express her gratitude and love for Lin Yi. But seeing that Lingshan was on the bed, Yushu wasn't going to back down. Hey Song Fox, I'm Shield Bro's small wife, and I'm the one who solved the case today. I want to sleep next to Shield Bro. Lingshan didn't want to let Yushu have it. She was the one who took the initiative, so how could she let someone else have it? She was usually very domineering towards other people. But remembering that Yushu was the one who solved the case today, she hesitated and moved away. I'll let you sleep then. Oh. Yushu didn't hold back and happily laid down next to Lin Yi. But when it came to Xiaoke, she didn't fight for it anymore. No matter what, the male thief would always belong to her. And the others could do whatever they wanted. Xiaoke laid down quietly next to Lingshan. They were both very petite, and the 1.8-meter-long bed was more than enough for them to sleep on. Actually, no one dared to do anything sneakily when sleeping on the same bed. Even Yushu didn't dare move recklessly, because Lin Yi was in the middle of practicing. It wouldn't be a joke if he went crazy. Yushu could still remember the last time she went crazy. If it weren't for Tang Yin, Lin Yi wouldn't have woken up at all. These days, he'd been fighting and running all the time. Even a god of war like Lin Yi was feeling a bit tired. But with Xinyan's help, the more energy he used up, the easier it was for him to replenish his energy at night. These days, he could clearly feel that his third stage of the art of dragon mastery was showing signs of completion, and this was a very pleasant surprise to him. However, reaching the perfection of the third level of the art of dragon mastery was just the beginning. He still needed to forge a heaven-ranked weapon of his own. Only with a heaven-ranked weapon could he open the fourth stone door. Who knew what kind of benefits lay behind the fourth stone door? Lin Yi was looking forward to it. Yushu, Lingshan, and Xiaoke fell into a deep sleep after a long day. Lin Yi had no choice but to put the energy stones under Xinyan's bed. But there were too many of them. It wasn't a problem for Xinyan. After Lin Yi left, only the hidden Tangs were left in the meeting room. Let's hear it. What's your stance on my decision? Tang Taijung asked the members of the Tang family. Chapter 3389. That's right, that's what happened. Second Tang nodded. The hidden houses that were close to Lin Yi are getting stronger and stronger, and even the ancient people don't dare bully them anymore. House Zhao, on the other hand, who went against Lin Yi, didn't they turn to dust now? Even now, the ancient House Dongfang, House Feng, Black Horse, and the everyday sect all have a grudge against Lin Yi. But who would dare cause trouble for Lin Yi? The weakest ancient house Dark Knight, on the other hand, has become stronger because of Lin Yi. If it weren't for the fact that we didn't have any connections before, I would have suggested using Lin Yi's docs a long time ago. Yui, what do you think? Tang Taijun was very pleased with his two sons' support. He was afraid that they'd go against him. Not only would they offend Lin Yi, they'd also push House Tang into a pit of fire. Grandpa, I think you've made the right decision. Right now, the training world is in chaos, and the Hidden Houses Arbitration Association is useless. We need a powerful organization or expert to intimidate these powers, or else everything will be in chaos, and that won't do us any good. Tang Yui nodded. What we need to do is develop stably. House Tang is weak in the first place, and if things really get chaotic, we'll be the ones getting bullied. Words are crude but logic isn't. Yui's words are a little undervaluing, but that's the truth. Tang Taijun nodded. If that's the case, then we'll have to report to Chairman Song if anything big happens in the future. He's too busy, and he might not have time for us. When something big happens, we'll go to young hero Lin for help. Yes. The Tangs quickly nodded. In actuality, Tang Yui really wanted to talk to Lin Yi privately, but there wasn't a suitable opportunity. He could only give up. The biohumans he sent out didn't come back either. Zhang Wen was panicking when he received a report from Xiaochun. Master Wen, it's bad. Those biohumans are all dead. Xiaochun rushed to Zhang Wen. Dead? What happened? Could it be that the potion lost its effect? Zhang Wen paused. These cyborgs all relied on the professor's medicine to increase their strength, but it wasn't permanent. After a while, these cyborgs wouldn't even be as strong as normal humans. That was why Zhang Wen asked this question. No, young Master Wen, according to the video on the van, Lin Yi is here. Xiao Chun said helplessly. What? Lin Yi is here. Is this for real? Why is he here? Isn't it just the people from the investigation department? Zhang Wen slammed the table and stood up. Let me see. Okay, I'll get the video for you. Xiao Chun quickly went to get the video. Soon the video was brought over. Zhang Wen's face was dark as he looked at it. He didn't expect Lin Yi to interfere again. He chose to hide House Tang because it was far from Donghai, and he didn't have much of a relationship with Lin Yi. He felt that Lin Yi shouldn't meddle in other people's business. Who would have thought that Ling Shan would become the vice director of the department? And even Lin Yi would come to help. How many of our test subjects are left? Zhang Wen asked. Only 6 left, Little Pure said. It wasn't easy to find a test subject that could be injected with the medicine. Normal people wouldn't be able to handle the strength of the medicine, and they'd die immediately after the injection. You had to have a strong body. In other words, this person had to have strength close to golden class. Even if they weren't golden class, they had to be an outstanding fighter in a gang, or one of the top few fighters in the underground fighting arena. People like that were hard to find. Zhang Wen spent a lot of effort to find a dozen of them, and some of them even failed. Even with strength like that, it wasn't 100% success rate. In the common world, people like that were too rare. After all, golden class masters were rare, and these people were close to golden class. Naturally, they were very rare. He couldn't go to the noble houses to capture them, could he? Those noble houses had more or less connections with Lin Yi, and the hidden noble houses weren't easy to mess with. Robbing was fine, but capturing people wasn't easy. He was planning to use these biohumans to do something big. But who would have thought that Lin Yi would kill 5 of them in one go? And capture 1? This was a huge loss. There's only 6 left. Zhang Wen frowned. These 6 might not all be successful. Young Master Wen, should we continue with the next step? Or should we stop? Xiaochun asked carefully. Of course, why not? It wasn't easy for Zhang Wen to get rich. There was no way he'd give it up so easily. He slammed the table. From the recordings, Lin Yi and the others have already left this place. So we'll be robbing here tomorrow. This antique shop again? Xiao Chun paused, thinking that Zhang Wen's idea was a brilliant one. Master Wen, you're right. No one would have thought that we'd come back and kill them. That Lin Yi's already gone, and it'll take him a few hours to come back. Our men would have left long ago after we're done. Yes, this time, we can also rob a hotel near the Tang family. Jiang Wen said as he looked at the map. Here, there's another hotel. We can't rob hotels anymore, but since we're going there, we might as well rob them all. Don't let go of anything valuable. Yes. Xiaochun knew that Jiang Wen was going all out this time. He wanted as much as he could to make this trip worthwhile. But Xiaochun was curious. Master Wen, how do you think Lin Yi and the others knew that we were going to rob the antique shops here? Do they have the ability to predict things? How is that possible? I think it's just blind luck. But that Lin Yi kid is a little weird. He might have analyzed something. Jiang Wen said after some thought. Analyzed? Didn't you pick these places randomly, Master Wen? How did you do that? Xiaochun was even more confused. Chapter 3390. He was now a high-level criminal, so he often read some criminal psychology books. There was also an introduction to this aspect. Of course, whether it was true or not, he didn't know. I see. Then next. Xiaochun was wondering if Lin Yi would be able to figure out what was going to happen next. This robbery wasn't a random one. I made this decision after I found out that Lin Yi was involved, and after Lin Yi left. It's different from the random ones, so Lin Yi and the others won't be able to figure it out. Jiang Wen said. If Lin Yi figured it out, why would he leave? Wouldn't he just stay in the antique shop and wait? That's true. Xiaochun nodded with relief after hearing that. But as soon as Xiaochun finished speaking, a series of rapid knocks came from the door. Jiang Wen frowned but said, Pure, go see who's here. Yes, sir. Xiao Chun went to open the door and found that it was one of his trusted subordinates, called Little Lunatic. Not good, Xiaochun bro. Little Crazy said as soon as she entered the door. What's with the panic? Also, call Master when you come in. Xiao Chun frowned slightly. If it weren't for the fact that this little crazy girl was pretty and reliable, he wouldn't have nurtured her. Yes, Master Wen, something happened. Little crazy girl quickly nodded. According to the ambushes we set up at the entrance, Lin Yi's group didn't leave this place. They're probably hiding around here. What? Jiang Wen's eyes went wide. It couldn't be a coincidence, right? He was just about to continue robbing the antique shop when he received a report saying that Lin Yi hadn't left. This Lin Yi was too amazing. Master Wen, should we go somewhere else? Xiaochun was startled as well. How did Lin Yi figure it out? This didn't seem realistic. Wasn't this a little too strange? Thinking about all the things they'd been doing these past few days, all of them getting ruined by Lin Yi, Xiaochun couldn't help but wonder if Lin Yi was their bane. Find another place? Jiang Wen had regained his composure by this point. He paused and smiled coldly. Why not? Not only are we not changing this time, but we're also injecting the fourth medicine into the test subject. If Lin Yi really interferes, then we'll let him stay there forever. Fourth improved potion. Xiao Chun was stunned after hearing that. Young Master Wen, Professor Yin said that the fourth improved potion is for Earth rank and above experts to inject. If it's injected into these experimental subjects, they won't be able to withstand it. Even if they can, they won't be able to exert their full strength. Moreover, even if they don't die after the injection, they'll be crippled after recovery. They can't be used again. I know. Go get the professor. I'll ask him if there's a possibility. Jiang Wen was evidently determined. He waved his hand, signaling Pure to go get the professor. All right. Xiao Chun nodded and instructed Little Crazy to call for help. It wasn't long before the professor came in. Young Master Wen, you were looking for me? It's like this. If we were to inject the fourth improved potion into these subjects, would it have the desired effect? Jiang Wen asked directly. The fourth improved potion was created by my uncle, Professor Benjamin II. This potion is targeted at masters above the Earth rank, and only masters above the Earth rank can withstand it. If it is used on a lower rank, it is very likely to cause the death of the recipient. Professor Yin said. So you're saying that it's impossible? Jiang Wen frowned. It's not impossible. It's just a little troublesome. Plus, the subject wouldn't be able to reach the Sky-class late-phase peak that Master Wen had predicted. It'd be good if they could reach Sky-class late phase. The professor said. Oh, that's enough. What do we do? Tell me. Jiang Wen's eyes lit up. It's like this. We can first use the first improved potion to stimulate the subject's body's limit, using up all of his stamina in advance. Then we inject the fourth improved potion. There's a chance of success, but there's no guarantee of success. The professor explained. There's bound to be a subject that can't take it and die immediately. Plus, the subject's lifespan is limited. It'll probably only be an hour or so before the subject dies. An hour? That's enough. Jiang Wen sighed. Professor Yin, it's not like you don't know how much of a threat Lin Yi is to us. Lin Yi's the one causing trouble for us so many times. If it weren't for him, we'd be making a lot of money already. That's true. I'll try my best then. The professor thought about it and gritted his teeth. I'll call my master tonight and see if he has any good ideas. Okay, thanks for your hard work, Jiang Wen said, satisfied. The night passed quickly, and the sky was already bright. Lin Yi stretched and stood up. Xingyan was still sound asleep, and Lin Yi didn't want to disturb her. He wanted her to absorb as much energy as possible. Yushu woke up as well when Lin Yi woke up. She couldn't sleep well either. Shield bro, you're awake? Shoo. Lin Yi made a shushing gesture before pointing at Xingyan. Let her rest for a bit. Okay. Yushu didn't have any animosity towards Xingyan. Perhaps in her eyes, people who were good to Lin Yi were good people. She could get along with them. I'll go get something to eat. You guys wait for me. Lin Yi didn't know that Jiang Wen already knew that he was here, so he didn't bring them to the hotel's restaurant for breakfast in order to keep a low profile. I want fried eggs, Yushu said. Okay. Lin Yi nodded and walked out of the room. He didn't expect to see Tang Yuyu waiting for him at the door. Or rather, Tang Yuyu had never left. He had been waiting for Lin Yi. This surprised Lin Yi. Mr. Lin, Tang Yuyu said respectfully. Are you here for breakfast? I'll go get it for you and send it to your room. No need. We'll go together. Lin Yi waved his hand. When did you get here? Chapter 3391. It's nothing. You don't have to be so careful. We have a good relationship. Lin Yi smiled and waved his hand. He could feel Tang Yuyu's caution and knew what he was thinking. He smiled. Your grandfather is your grandfather. Back at the Hidden House Summit, he wanted to kill me too. That's reasonable, but we have a good relationship. From now on, won't you be in charge of the Tang family? No need to be so reserved. Just call me Lin Yi. Okay. Gratitude flashed across Tang Yuyu's face. Then I'll call you Brother Lin from now on. Brother Lin, my sister is now. But Tang Yuyu was a bit confused. He called Lin Yi Brother Lin, so he should be Lin Yi's brother-in-law, right? But now he didn't dare call him that. Your sister. Lin Yi paused. Who is your sister? Ah. Tang Yuyu saw that Lin Yi's attitude was good and wanted to get closer to Lin Yi. But he didn't think that Lin Yi would act like this when he mentioned his sister. He stopped. Nothing. Don't think about those messy things. I have enough women by my side. Don't think about marriage. Lin Yi misunderstood Tang Yuyu. He thought that Tang Yuyu wanted to give his sister to Lin Yi. Ah. Tang Yuyu paused. He was even more confused. He didn't know what Lin Yi meant. Did he break up with Tang Yan? Thinking of this, Tang Yuyu didn't dare say much. As far as he was concerned, Shuegu must have caused Lin Yi to be in a bad mood. However, he couldn't say anything in a fight between gods. He could only lower his head and accompany Lin Yi all the way to the hotel's restaurant. Lin Yi took some dishes. He didn't take much. The room was full of women, so he couldn't eat too much. Seeing Tang Yuyu being so cautious, Lin Yi didn't know what was wrong with him. What did he say to make him so cautious? However, Lin Yi couldn't do anything about it. If Tang Yuyu insisted on being so cautious, then he couldn't say anything. Other than Wang Xinyan, everyone else was awake when they got back to the room. But it didn't affect Xinyan at all. They all knew that Xinyan had used up a lot of energy last night, and it was hard to say if she would wake up before noon. Lin Yi gave the breakfast to Yushu, Lingshan, and Xiaoke before placing the energy stones next to Xinyan. He watched them enjoy their breakfast, enjoying the moment of peace. Ever since he came to Songshan, Lin Yi's life seemed to be in a mess. Almost all kinds of things came to him, causing Lin Yi to work nonstop. Until now, Lin Yi still had to work hard for the inheritors plan. It was rare for him to have free time. However, this kind of leisure could only last for one morning. The professor rushed to Jiang Wen's room the next morning. "Professor Yin, how is it? Do you have a solution?" Jiang Wen was pleasantly surprised to see the professor. He'd been waiting for news from the professor for a long time. "Yes, it's like this, Master One. My master saw the recording of Lin Yi's fight with the cyborgs, and he gave a few suggestions." The professor said. "He said that Lin Yi's attacks are very strong, and our cyborgs are very strong, but they can't take a beating. It's fine when fighting against low-level masters. But if they fight against Lin Yi, they might be killed by Lin Yi before they can even kill Lin Yi. Even if they're Sky-class late phase, it's still not enough. Lin Yi can kill them one at a time, 6 hits at most, and they'll all be dead." Jiang Wen thought about it, and realized that it was true. The professor's words made him feel a little discouraged, but he had to admit that it was the truth. "Then is there a way to solve it? Are we just going to let Lin Yi go like this?" "There's no way we'll let him go. My master also suggested that we kill Lin Yi, so his suggestion is to inject the number 1, 2, and 4 drugs into the cyborgs." The professor said. "That way, our cyborgs will not only increase their strength, but they'll also be able to take a beating. As long as they don't lose their heads, they'll still be able to keep attacking even if they lose an arm or a leg." "Oh, then it's settled." Jiang Wen nodded, overjoyed. "Is there a problem?" "There is a problem. The side effect is that the effect only lasts for 20 minutes, so we have to do it in the car and hypnotize them in the car. We can't waste any time," the professor said. "That's doable. Let Xiaochun and the hypnotist go together," Jiang Wen said. "That's doable, but I'm afraid that things will be exposed," the professor said after some hesitation. "Lin Yi won't send people out for Xiaochun and the others, will he? They pretended to be Lang Nima and Cui Mianshi to trick Lu Tianli. Sit in the car and don't get out. What's there to expose? Lin Yi doesn't have X-ray vision. Does he think he's Yang Ming?" Jiang Wen waved his hand in disdain. "Ugh, Master One, you know Yang Ming as well?" The professor paused, not expecting Jiang Wen to know Yang Ming. This was the core secret of the Firewolves. "Yes, isn't he our ultimate enemy? Miss Lan told me about it already," Jiang Wen said faintly. Miss Lan valued him a lot now, and he was starting to get in touch with the core secrets of the Firewolves. "All right, Master Wen, I'll go make the arrangements." The professor nodded and went to prepare. At noon, a white van drove to the hidden house Tang's antique shop. Jiang Wen didn't even change his car this time to attract Lin Yi's attention. He didn't even change his car. He was still using his old car to attract Lin Yi's attention. The driver was little Pure. Before he left, he had already passed some instructions to the little crazy guy. This mission made him a little panicky. He had a feeling that they were going to fail, but he couldn't tell Jiang Wen about it. Jiang Wen would definitely scold him for worrying too much. So, in order to continue Scorpion's spirit, Xiaochun trained Little Crazy to be his successor. If something really happened to him today, then Little Crazy would take over his position and become the next Scorpion. Chapter 3392. "I can have a ceremony with you here alone," Lin Yi said after a sigh. In his heart, Tang Yun had a special place. Even if he liked Xiao Xiao, Tang Yun was his first true girlfriend, so her place in Lin Yi's heart would always be different. Hearing Lin Yi's words, Tang Yun was touched, but she shook her head. "Never mind, Xiao Xiao won't be happy when she finds out." Lin Yi didn't know what to say. Tang Yun was always like this, always thinking about other people's benefits, just like how she accepted Xiao Xiao back then. "What me? I'm just being contradictory, can't I?" Tang Yun glared at Lin Yi and went back to her plate happily. As Gooden and Yuanyuan's ceremony ended, Lin Yi welcomed his second 5-year promise. Today was the night of the full moon, and old Lin called Lin Yi to his room early in the morning. "Old man, you won't kick me off this time, will you?" Lin Yi joked as soon as he entered the room. In fact, he was excited and nervous. This day was finally here, and he had been waiting for it for a long time. But now that it was here, Linny was a little worried that something would happen. Why do you look so nervous? Old Lin looked at Lin Yi and teased. I kicked you off because I had no other choice. It was just a promise I made with your master back then. I am a little nervous, after all. It's been so many years. Linny didn't hide it. I hope it works this time. Haha. Old Lin smiled. Oh right. I've asked about Tang Yun and the others' cultivation methods for you. What's the result? Linny asked quickly. No result. Old Lin shook his head. That old friend doesn't have it, so you'll have to find it yourself. He told me to tell you something. Something? What is it? Linny frowned. There's always a way out, Old Lin said. What does that mean? Why does it feel like there's more to it than meets the eye? Linny didn't quite understand what the old man was trying to say. Haha, isn't it clear? Let me tell you, you don't have to spend too much effort on this matter. Perhaps under some kind of coincidence, you'll be able to find the mantra that belongs to them, Old Lin explained. Are you serious? This guy's a fortune teller? Why does it feel like he's not reliable? Linny frowned. He really is a fortune teller. Furthermore, his fortune telling is extraordinarily accurate. Old Lin smiled bitterly. At least on some matters it really comes true. What do you mean? Linny was confused. Back then, he told Feng Tianlong's fortune, Old Lin said. Old Lin said. He once said that the destiny was with Xiao Xiao, and she really did make it out of danger. Before you went to the Ice Palace, even I didn't have much hope for her. No way. Linny was even more shocked. Haha, maybe, Old Lin nodded. All right. Linny didn't ask any more questions. There were some things that Old Lin didn't want to talk about, which meant that it wasn't the right time to ask. Linny had experienced this from a young age. Go. I know you're impatient. I'll help you explain things to Tang Yun, Old Lin said. All right. Linny really wanted to go to the cave, even if he had to wait at the entrance. Everything was so familiar, and Linny arrived in front of the cave once more. It wasn't night yet, but Linny couldn't help but give it a try. The stone door didn't open, which was within Lin Yi's expectations. But Linny wouldn't give up until he tested it. Since it was still early, Linny calmed himself down and sat cross-legged at the entrance of the cave practicing. Linny waited for the night to fall. Slowly the night came, and Linny came out of the jade space, returning to reality. He raised his head and looked at the starry night sky. There was a full moon in the sky. Linny took a deep breath and stood up, walking towards the cave. Looking at the stone door in front of the cave, Linny slowly placed his hand on the stone door, and after a while he let go. But this time, it wasn't like the first time Lin Yi came to the stone door. At that time, Linny only placed his hand on the stone door, and the stone door opened by itself. But this time, the stone door didn't open. Linny was slightly startled. Was there something wrong with his calculation? Jiaolao, what's going on? Why didn't the stone door open? Linny had a ready-made teacher, so Linny wasn't in a hurry. The first time the stone door opens, you can enter if you're fated to. The second time it opens, it has already recognized you as its owner. Try using the art of dragon mastery, Jiao Yazi said. Linny nodded and activated the art of dragon mastery, placing his hand on the stone door once more. This time, it didn't take long for the tightly shut stone door to rise slowly. Phew! Linny let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that Jiao Yazi was right. The stone door really did open. This was the scene inside the door. It was the same as the first time Lin Yi saw it at the age of 8. But this time, Lin Yi wasn't as surprised as before, and he didn't pay much attention to anything in the hall. He walked around the high platform and stood in front of the second stone door at the back of the hall. On the stone tablet in front of the stone door were the same words that Lin Yi had seen before. 5 years later, when the divine ability is complete, you can enter by striking the door with your palm. If you don't get what you want and the divine ability isn't complete, wait another 5 years and come back to test it. Last time, Lin Yi was confused and didn't know what these words meant. But this time, Lin Yi understood that the divine ability on the stone tablet was referring to the art of dragon mastery. Now that his art of dragon mastery had reached the completion of the first layer, as long as he had the second layer, he could start cultivating. Lin Yi remembered the words at the door. Remember to leave before dawn. The stone door will open again in 5 years. He didn't dare to waste any time. If he delayed, then Lenny would be trapped in the stone door, unable to leave. Chapter 3393. Originally, Lenny had only used the art of dragon mastery to open the stone door. Naturally, he couldn't use the art of dragon mastery to its fullest, but the moment his palm touched the stone door, Lin Yi's chi seemed to have been activated, and his art of dragon mastery was forcibly raised to the first stage. It was as if Lenny didn't need to use the art of dragon mastery, and it was running on its own. The energy in Lin Yi's body flowed through his palm and into the stone door. This was a situation that Lenny had never seen before. The only time he used the art of dragon mastery was when he was healing Xiao Xiao. But it was different this time. After all, the energy was transferred to a living person, and the energy was transferred to the stone door. However, when Lenny opened the first stone door, he only used the art of dragon mastery once, and the stone door opened. This time, it had been running on its own for so long, and the stone door still didn't move. Instead, the energy in Lin Yi's body flowed into the stone door. Seeing that he was losing more and more energy, and Lenny still couldn't stop it, Lenny finally panicked. He wanted to ask Jiao Yazi what was going on. Jiao Lao, what's going on? Why is all the qi in my body flowing into the stone door? Lenny asked anxiously. However, Jiao Lao's voice didn't ring. Instead, there was only silence. Jiao Lao. Lenny tried to call Jiao Lao's name again, but there was still silence. Lenny jumped and tried to enter the jade space. After all, he was losing too much energy. Lenny wanted to enter the jade space to replenish his lost energy, but he realized that he had lost contact with the jade space. This was something that Lenny had never seen before. It shocked Lenny. At this moment, it was as if the jade space had closed, and Lenny couldn't enter it like usual anymore. However, the energy in Lin Yi's body was still flowing at an unbelievable speed. In the blink of an eye, there was only 50% left, then 40%, 30%. Soon, there was only 10% left in Lin Yi's body, but the stone door in front of him didn't move at all. Could it be that he didn't have basic mastery? Or could it be that the stone tablet said basic mastery didn't mean that he had completed the first stage of the art of dragon mastery? As he was thinking, the last bit of energy in Lin Yi's body flowed into the stone door, but there was still no sign of the stone door opening. This made Lin Yi very depressed. He had waited for 10 years, and in exchange for such an inexplicable result. Not only did the stone door not open, there was no qi in his body at all, and the jade space was inexplicably ineffective. Wasn't this a scam? Could it be that the cave itself was a scam? First let me cultivate, and then take back the qi in my body? Or was there another purpose? If it was any other time, the qi in Lin Yi's body would be gone, and Lin Yi wouldn't have any worries. With the jade space as a cheat, if he wanted to recover, it would only take a night. But now Lin Yi's jade actually didn't work, and this made him want to cry but have no tears. Just when Lin Yi wanted to let go of his hand and carefully check if the jade space could still be used, Lin Yi found that his hand seemed to be glued to the stone door, and he couldn't move it at all. Lin Yi subconsciously used his left palm to support the stone door, and wanted to move his right palm, but unfortunately, his left palm was also sucked to the stone door, and he couldn't move it anymore. However, just as Lin Yi was feeling sad and angry, he suddenly felt a strong qi flow from the stone door, through Lin Yi's palm, back into his body. And this energy seemed to be even purer than Lin Yi's previous all-purpose energy, as if it had been filtered. Of course, all this was not under Lin Yi's control. The energy flow back, just like before, was completely involuntary. Lin Yi could only endure it passively, and the art of dragon mastery in his body had been running at the great completion of the first stage at high speed. Finally, all the energy that had been lost before returned to Lin Yi's body, and Lin Yi's strength also returned to its previous state. But the difference was that the energy in Lin Yi's body was purer than before, and this was something that Lin Yi could clearly feel. Just as Lin Yi was excited about his strength returning, the energy in his body flowed again, and continued to flow from Lin Yi's palm into the stone door. This time, although Lin Yi was surprised, he was not as afraid as before. Since he could not stop it, he would wait and see. Sure enough, after all the energy flowed into the stone door, the energy flow back appeared again. And this time, the energy that flowed into Lin Yi's body seemed to be even purer than before. However, Lin Yi was obviously happy too early. The situation this time was different from the previous time. The energy flowed from Lin Yi's left palm into Lin Yi's body, and from Lin Yi's right palm back into the stone door. At this moment, Lin Yi's entire body seemed to have entered a very mysterious state, as if he and the stone door had become one. And the stone door was a part of his body, and the chi was flowing back and forth. So, Lin Yi simply closed his eyes, no longer resisting, and accompanied the stone door, circulating the art of dragon mastery, wanting to see what this stone door was going to do. The energy in the stone door and Lin Yi's body did not know how many times, until Lin Yi was tired of counting. Only then did Lin Yi suddenly realize that this time, the speed at which the chi was drained from his right palm was slowly slowing down, obviously slower than the absorption of the left palm. Gradually, the absorption rate of the left palm also slowed down. This was not surprising to Lin Yi. As the loss of the chi was slower, the absorption would naturally be slower, but he did not know whether this situation represented a good or bad thing. Immediately after that, Lin Yi could clearly feel the loss and absorption of the energy become slower and slower, until finally it stopped. And the moment it stopped, the stone door also let out a loud boom, and Lin Yi instinctively bounced to the side. Accompanied by the sound of the stone door, the second stone door, like the stone door at the entrance, slowly rose up. The corner of Lin Yi's mouth couldn't help but show a trace of a smile. Chapter 3394. Yes, Lin Yi was touched. Although old Lin was sometimes unreliable, he cared about Lin Yi a lot. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stayed up in the middle of the night to wait for Lin Yi's return. You found something? Old Lin's face showed a trace of a smile, and his tense heart also relaxed. It's all here. Lin Yi waved the wooden box in his hand, and his heart was filled with emotions. While Lin Yi was pleasantly surprised, he was also a little disappointed. 10 years of anticipation in exchange for a small square box. This was the only thing in the entire stone room, but it was incomparably precious. It must contain the mantra for the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. Hee, I should also go rest. Old Lin stood up with a yawn and staggered towards his room. Looking at Old Lin's back as he left, Lin Yi secretly sighed. Old Lin sometimes deliberately made things difficult for him, but he was also sincerely concerned about Lin Yi. He just didn't show it. In this aspect, he was somewhat similar to the Miss, but Old Lin and the Miss had completely different personalities. Thinking of this, a strong sense of kinship surged in Lin Yi's heart. All this while, Lin Yi had called Old Man Lin Old Man, and it didn't seem like he was being respectful, but in Lin Yi's heart, he had always treated Old Man Lin as his master and grandfather. He seemed to be indifferent to Lin Yi, but he was very thoughtful about many things. After waiting for Old Lin to enter his own room, Lin Yi then moved back to his room. Placing the small wooden box on the table, Lin Yi took a deep breath. Before this, Lin Yi was already a little impatient. Now that he was home, it was unexpectedly calm. Little Lin, are you very happy and excited? Jiao Lao's voice slowly sounded in Lin Yi's ear. Jiao Lao, don't make fun of me. Of course, I'm very happy and excited. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. This has been my dream for 10 years, and it has finally come true. Haha, what are your thoughts? Jiao Lao asked jokingly. Speaking of feelings, it's actually a little different from what I expected. Lin Yi said honestly. I originally thought that there would be more benefits behind the second stone door. I didn't expect that what I got in the end was still a small box. If it weren't for the fact that time was of the essence, I really wouldn't have given up. I really want to turn that stone room upside down. Humph. Fortunately, I reminded you. Otherwise, when the stone door closes, you might not be able to see the light of day again. Jiao Lao was somewhat disdainful of Lin Yi's greed. Moreover, it's obvious what's in that stone room. According to my memory, There's only this small box in the second stone door. That's good. Lenny immediately heaved a sigh of relief. I hope that I can cultivate the second layer of the heart cultivation method to the full circle as soon as possible, so that I can open the third stone door. Now, I'm full of anticipation for the third stone door. That's not right. Since the third stone door can be opened at any time, doesn't that mean that the 5-year promise is invalid? Even if the stone door closes, won't I be able to leave at any time? It's easy for you to think about it. What's the condition to open the third stone door? Jiao Lao asked in return. The second layer of the full circle. Lenny was stunned for a moment before he suddenly reacted. In other words, I can only open the stone door when I'm at the second layer of the full circle? Naturally, it's written clearly on the stone tablet. Jiao Lao said. Doesn't that mean that the first stone door also has the effect of testing one's strength? Lenny asked in surprise. What do you think? Jiao Lao blinked his eyes and asked in return. In fact, he didn't know who designed these intricate mechanisms and how they were designed. His memory hadn't recovered yet, and it was only a virtual image. He couldn't answer for things that exceeded the scope of the second layer of his memory. I think so. In other words, if I'm locked in the stone door, I can only cultivate the second layer of the heart cultivation method to the full circle before I can leave? Lenny asked. That's impossible. If you're trapped inside, you'll probably have to wait for 5 years. Jiao Yazi denied flatly. Oh, why is that so? Lenny was slightly stunned and then asked. Wait until you see the heart cultivation method in the wooden box. You'll understand. Jiao Yazi laughed. Since Jiao Yazi kept him in suspense, Lenny didn't ask anymore. It seemed like he could find the answer in the wooden box. Lenny slowly opened the small wooden box. This time, he didn't encounter any obstacles. Thinking about it, after passing the test of the stone door, the person who built the cave had achieved his goal and tested out Lin Yi's strength. Therefore, he wouldn't put any obstacles on the small wooden box. The wooden box was open, but there wasn't the heaven-defying artifact that Lenny had imagined. Originally, Lenny was still hoping to find something similar to a jade pendant in the small box, but there was nothing inside. In the wooden box, there were 3 neatly folded silk scrolls. This made Lin Yi's eyes light up. Previously, in the first wooden box, there was only 1 silk scroll, but in the wooden box in the second stone door, there were 3 silk scrolls. Could it be that this was the heart cultivation method from the second to the 4th level of the art of dragon mastery? If there was the heart cultivation method for the last 3 levels, then Lenny was simply too happy. This time, he had really made a big profit. After calming down his excitement, Lenny picked up the first silk scroll and opened it carefully, for fear of damaging the silk scroll. The art of dragon mastery. The 5 words written in seal script leaped into Lin Yi's eyes. The same words Lenny had seen on the silk scroll of the first level of the art of dragon mastery. Seeing it again after 10 years made Lin Yi's blood boil and excited. The previous silk scroll had been treasured by Lin Yi. Lin Yi had read the heart cultivation method mnemonic incantation thousands of times and had already memorized it. Therefore, seeing this kind of heart cultivation method mnemonic incantation again, Lin Yi naturally felt this way. Under the title of this heart cultivation method, there was a small line of words, written on it, second level white crane. However, what was different from the first level of the heart cultivation method was that behind the small title was not the main text, but a line of annotations. This line of annotations was very eye-catching. The font was even bigger than the small title. Lenny didn't dare to neglect it and hurriedly read it carefully. Chapter 3395. Lenny also felt that it was too much of a coincidence that old Lin's move had sent him to the bottom of West Star Mountain and to the front of the cave. Moreover, when he first came back and showed the jade pendant in the box to old Lin showed a very surprised expression. When he showed the small box to old Lin, he didn't seem that surprised, as if he already knew about it. But when he saw the jade pendant, he was very surprised. At that time, Lenny couldn't guess the meaning behind his expression, But now, when he thought about it again, he could more or less guess it. The only possibility was that old Lin already knew about the cave, and knew that there was a small box in the cave, and that the box contained the art of dragon mastery. Otherwise, old Lin wouldn't have concocted the body-tempering medicine for him before this. But the existence of the jade pendant seemed to be out of old Lin's expectations. Come to think of it, old Lin should know about the jade pendant. But he was surprised that it was in the box too. This meant that the jade pendant should be a very important treasure. But old Lin didn't say anything, and Linny knew that it was useless to ask. But if old Lin wanted to say it, just like now, he directly said it. I know, old Lin said. That old friend of mine told me about this. The fortune teller? Linny asked. Yes, that's him. Old Lin nodded. Can you be more specific? Linny frowned. I feel that there are many things I don't know, including the sudden departure of Master. You must know about it. No, I will tell you when it's time. Old Lin's expression was normal, but his words were resolute. All right, then let's continue researching the prescription. Linny knew old Lin's personality, and so he didn't say anything more. He directly passed the recipe to old Lin, saying, You can get most of the common ingredients in here. You have a lot of them in your herb garden. In the Valley West, old Lin had his own herb garden, and there were many precious herbs planted there. Most of the herbs on this prescription could be found, but there were a few that Linny hadn't even heard of. Grain grass, resting fruit, horsetail bamboo. Old Lin muttered to himself. Then he shook his head and said, I've never heard of it either. Let's look it up in the medicine encyclopedia. Maybe it's in one of the ancient books. You still want to investigate? Linny couldn't help but feel bitter after hearing this. Xiao Xiao's fire spirit fruit was already a lot of effort, and he only found a little bit of information. Now that he had lost 3 ingredients, how long would it take? It shouldn't be too hard to find. I don't think it's a heaven-defying treasure like the fire spirit's fruit. It's just rare. Maybe there are other names for it. Let's look around. Old Lin stood up and walked towards the study. Linny, on the other hand, could only follow old Lin into the study. Then he started his solitary meditation. With old Lin guarding him, it was the safest place for Linny. Old Lin's attack power wasn't any weaker than Gooden's. Gooden was a bit stronger, but old Lin was enough to deal with normal enemies. Plus, old Lin had a clear advantage over Gooden, and that was the body of someone who had mastered the golden shield. Normal people wouldn't be able to do anything to old Lin, but old Lin and Gooden were the same. Because of the spring, they couldn't leave Star West Village. Chapter 3396. Thinking about this, Tang Yun understood why the Snow Valley had mobilized so many people. But she also thought of something else, that was, Lin Yi's love had moved Elder Qing and Rock Candy. Then, would she be able to move Valley Master Shui and Grand Elder as well? Thinking about this, Tang Yun slowly knelt in front of Grand Elder and Valley Master Shui. Her expression was extremely sincere. I beg you, please save my lover. If he doesn't receive treatment in time, I'm afraid. The highest elder didn't look back. The aura she exuded had a kind of unapproachable momentum. Shueli followed behind her, and left the guest room together. What the great elder and Shueli had cultivated was the Heartless spell, a unique skill of the Snow Valley. What they cultivated was an icy heart. How could they be moved by Tang Yun's kneeling? However, the Heartless spell was only suitable for females to practice. Although Elder Zhang also practiced the ice elemental spell, he did not need to practice the ice heart. So he couldn't help but smile bitterly when he saw Shueli and the great elder leaving. He said to Tang Yun, Little girl, let's go. Don't annoy the Valley Master and the great elder. Tang Yun's tears fell down helplessly. At this moment, her heart was filled with grievance and bitterness. Although Tang Yun was born poor, she had her own persistence and pride. When had she ever kneeled to others? But for Lin Yi, she had to lower her head. Little girl, don't make things difficult for me. If you stay here and the Valley Master and Grand Elder blame me, I will have to bear the consequences. Elder Zhang said, I'm sorry. Tang Yin wiped away her tears and stood up slowly, determination in her red eyes. Elder Zhang, Please tell the venerated elder and the valley headmaster that I'll kneel in front of the valley's gates. I'd rather freeze to death on this snowy mountain if I don't get the ice spirit fruit. Why do you have to do this? Elder Zhang smiled bitterly and did not know what to say. He knew that the Supreme Elder and Shueli would definitely watch Tang Yun freeze to death. For those who practiced the heartless tactics, how could they sympathize with others? Tang Yun bowed deeply to the Grand Elder and didn't say anything else. She left the room and walked out of the snowy valley's walls. Yun, why you're doing this? Mingyao was a little shocked, not expecting Tang Yun to say something this shameless, but remembering that Lin Yi did the same thing when he saved Xiao Xiao. Mingyao knew that Tang Yun was learning from Lin Yi. I've decided, this is our last chance. We don't have time to go to the Ice Palace anymore. Tang Yun said firmly. Among these people, only Lin Yi had the Ice Palace's contact information. Even Tang Yun's parents didn't have Bingtong's contact information, let alone old Lin and Mo Kongwen. Mo Kongwen knew the route to the Snow Valley, because the Snow Valley was famous for trading and exchanging treasures for money. But it's very cold here, you're different from Lin Yi. He's a practitioner, and you're not. You'll freeze to death here. Meng Yao said subconsciously, a little startled. I said it, so I'll do it. Tang Yun said firmly as she looked at the unconscious Lin Yi. I've known him for so long, but I've never done anything for him. Man. Meng Yao sighed helplessly. It was freezing outside of Snow Valley, and it was beyond their imaginations. Snow Valley and the Ice Palace were in the north and south. According to Snow Valley's location, the weather should be nice, but who would have thought that it would be the exact opposite in this valley? It's so cold. Shu couldn't take this weather even with Lin Yi on her back. She felt relaxed when she came out of the room, but after a while, she couldn't take it anymore. Shu had a body that could withstand heat, but not cold. Carrying Lin Yi on her back was very comfortable, but staying in this environment for a long time would definitely freeze her to death. Yao, Shu, you guys go back to the car, I'll be fine outside. Tang Yun said as she knelt in front of the gate of the Snow Valley. Although this was the territory of the Snow Valley, the Snow Valley wouldn't do anything to an ordinary person like her. Elder Zhang looked at the scene outside and shook his head helplessly. He didn't think that Tang Yun would really do this, but he was confused. Since Tang Yun was Bingtong's sister, why didn't she contact Bingtang and transfer the money for the fruit to him? Of course, Elder Zhang didn't know that it wasn't that Tang Yun didn't want to, but that she couldn't contact Bingtang. The ancient sects had their own ways of contacting each other, but ancient sects communicated with the common world through letters. Mingyao didn't know how to persuade Tang Yun, and she didn't know if she should do it or not. She was thinking, if she was in Tang Yun's shoes, would she do the same? When Mingyao heard Tang Yun say, I've known him for so long, but I've never done anything for him. She was thinking, what have I done for him? Every time she was in trouble or danger, it was Lin Yi who helped her out. No matter how dangerous or difficult it was, he would always be safe. But what have I done for him? Thinking about it carefully, it seemed like nothing. Why don't we take turns kneeling here? Mingyao hesitated. No need, that would be insincere. Tang Yun said, Yao, it's fine. My body is more resistant to cold, but you and Shu are different. Leave it to me. You guys just stay in the car and take care of Lin Yi. Actually, Tang Yun was thinking, if Snow Valley knew that she was Bingtong's sister, would they still let her freeze to death here? If that happened, how would she explain it to Bingtang? Of course, this was also because Tang Yun didn't know that Grand Elder and Sydney practiced the heartless arts. If they knew, they wouldn't think like this. The so-called heartless arts naturally wouldn't be moved by Tang Yun's actions. As for her identity as Bingtong's sister, Grand Elder and Sydney didn't really believe it. After all, Bingtang didn't tell them about it, nor did she mention it. What else could Mingyao say after Tang Yun said so? She could only go back to the car with Shu. After all, it was too cold outside. Mingyao was shivering from the cold. She couldn't imagine how Tang Yun's thin body could withstand the cold wind and snow. Chapter 3397. Have we done anything wrong to you? You'll understand after you hear what I have to say. Zhang Wen said. Meng Yao turned around and walked towards the living room. Yushu was looking at Jiang Wen up and down weirdly, giving Jiang Wen a creepy feeling. Was this girl trying to trick him again? Jiang Wen had been tricked many times already. Actually, Yushu wasn't trying to trick him. She was just guessing if this guy was really innocent or not. Alright, what do you want to say? Meng Yao said to Jiang Wen. Yao Yao, maybe you think that Uncle Chu went bankrupt and committed suicide because of our family. But, how can we be innocent? My father was even scolded by Grandpa for lending Uncle Chu money. Jiang Wen smiled bitterly. If it wasn't for Grandpa's love for me, this villa of yours would have been confiscated. The assets are all under your name. What else do you want? Meng Yao asked. Uncle Chu's assets and Pengzhang Corporation's shares are indeed in our family's hands. But Yao Yao, have you ever thought about the 3 billion that my father lent to your father? Do you think that the total value of Pengzhang Corporation's shares and these properties is around 3 billion? Even if it's more than 3 billion, we're using cash to buy back the assets and shares. This is a huge loss. Jiang Wen explained. After all, the assets aren't money, they're shares. The business won't recover even if it's not managed. But now that we don't have the 3 billion, even the operations of our business are affected. Overall, we're the victims. You're saying that the 3 billion you lent to my father was lost as well? Didn't it go into your pockets? Meng Yao naturally didn't believe Jiang Wen. Yao Yao, to be honest, it was my father who dragged Uncle Chu into this project. Maybe that's why you misunderstood, Jiang Wen said. But later on, my father kept telling Uncle Chu to stop, but Uncle Chu acted like he was possessed. He wouldn't listen no matter what my father said. My father couldn't reject him because he was an old friend, so he took the risk and lent him the money. Dad's in the hospital unconscious. How am I supposed to believe you? Meng Yao wasn't moved at all. Man, I knew you wouldn't believe me. Jiang Wen shook his head helplessly. But it's fine, Yao Yao. Our company's phones all have voice recordings. If you really don't believe me, I'll get someone to pull out the voice recording and listen to it yourself. There's a recording? Really? Meng Yao wasn't so sure anymore after hearing Jiang Wen's words. Could it be that her father really wasn't going to listen to her? Her father seemed to be crazy when she called him, and he didn't seem to care when Faubert tried to talk him out of it. Our family's company is different from your father's. There are 3 people in charge, my grandpa, my uncle, and my father. So sometimes, when something goes wrong, we have to look into the person responsible. Who was the one who made the decision? In order to prevent people from denying it, there's no evidence. Jiang Wen was obviously bullshitting. In Hao Sen's business, other than Old Elder and in Mingyue, Jiang Wen even had a lot of power. What's the point? Jiang Wen was obviously bullshitting. Then, can you get it for me? Meng Yao hesitated. It wasn't polite to ask for someone else's company's voice recording, but she didn't believe that Jiang Wen really had a voice recording. She had to confirm it herself. Alright, I'll tell my father now. Jiang Wen didn't push it away. He took out his phone and called in Mingyue. After in Mingyue's call, Meng Yao wasn't sure herself anymore. Could it be that Hao Sen was innocent? Otherwise, why would Jiang Wen be so confident? Of course, as suspicious as Hao Sen was, there was still the possibility that they were innocent. Then why did they lose all their money after making money? Meng Yao asked. Man, it wasn't supposed to be a loss, but I don't know why Uncle Chu pulled out $1 billion all of a sudden, disrupting the entire operation. Not only did we not get the $1 billion back, but we lost everything. Jiang Wen said regretfully with a shrug. What? Is it because of the withdrawal of investment? That's why you lost it? Meng Yao froze. She didn't think that the reason for her father's bankruptcy was because of him pulling out his investment. Although Jiang Wen's words couldn't be trusted, Meng Yao still blamed herself. Was it because of her? If she didn't call her father to ask for $1 billion, would her father pull out his investment? Was he the one who caused all of this? Faubert didn't want Meng Yao to be sad, so he didn't mention this. Faubert was sure that it was Hao Sen's doing, and that the investment loss was just an excuse. But Jiang Wen wanted Meng Yao to hate Lin Yi, so he said it on purpose. Yeah, it's a taboo for a financial speculator like this to pull out his investment. It messes up the original plan. Is that so? Meng Yao lowered her head, feeling down. Jiang Wen was a little disappointed that Meng Yao didn't blame him, but he couldn't say anything more. Meng Yao would get suspicious if he did, and Meng Yao wasn't an idiot. Jiang Wen had spent so much effort to make Meng Yao half believe him, and naturally, he wouldn't ruin the good situation. Soon, Jiang Wen's phone received a couple of messages. He opened it up and said to Meng Yao, "They're here, I'll play it for you." "Okay." Meng Yao nodded without hesitation. "Pengzhan bro, why are you calling again? Didn't we just talk? I've sent the current profits to your inbox, see if you've received it." Jiang Wen's phone started to play the recording of the phone call slowly. In the beginning, it was just a normal conversation, but Meng Yao's face started to change as the conversation went on. Chapter 3398. The fourth reagent had been injected, and now Xiaochun had to inject them with the first and second reagents. In order to attract Lin Yi's attention, Xiaochun purposely drove around House Tang's hotel and said to the hypnotist, "We can start now." Xiao Chun had practiced this action many times before coming here. Xiao Chun skillfully injected the potion into the 3 biohumans in front of her, and then the hypnotist began to hypnotize them. Meanwhile, Xiao Chun drove to the antique shop. The timing was just right. In fact, when Xiao Chun drove around the hotel, Lin Yi noticed it. This made Lin Yi a little puzzled. What was he trying to do? Provoke him? Could it be that Jiang Wen knew that he was staying in the hotel and purposely told him that he was going to rob the hotel? Or was he thinking too much? Was he just here to take a look and wanted to rob the hotel after robbing the antique shop? Of course, the second possibility was more likely, but no matter what, Lin Yi rushed to the antique shop with House Tang as soon as possible. Tang Taijing admired Yushu very much. She said that she was going to rob the antique shop today, and she really came. When the van arrived at the antique shop, they saw that Lin Yi was already waiting for them at the entrance. There were no other customers around, and evidently, the place had been cleared by House Tang to prevent people who didn't know the truth from causing a commotion. Xiaochun stopped the van, and he didn't know why, but his heart was beating very fast. His goal was to bring people to fight Lin Yi. But now that Lin Yi was waiting for him, he couldn't feel happy at all. He felt that something bad was going to happen. "Hypnotist, how is it? Is it done?" Xiaochun asked. "No problem. I ordered them to get out of the van and carry out the mission." The hypnotist nodded, and then gave the order to the 5 biohumans. The 3 biohumans got out of the van one by one, and they surrounded Lin Yi. This time, their order was to surround and attack Lin Yi. No matter who interfered, they would ignore them and focus solely on attacking Lin Yi. Lin Yi frowned slightly. He also felt that something was amiss. There was someone else in the van at the moment. Did this person not know that he was the one who killed the biohuman yesterday? Why did he bring 3 of them today? Did he really think that these 3 biohumans were a match for him? All 6 of them died yesterday. You think you're amazing just because you've lost half of it? There seemed to be something strange about this. Since he couldn't figure it out, Lin Yi didn't think too much about it. He adopted yesterday's strategy and defeated them one by one. Flaming Fist 10th move. Lin Yi attacked Cyborg 1, who was the closest to him. Boom! The fist landed on the cyborg's body. Not to be outdone, the cyborg also attacked. He also threw a punch at Lin Yi's fist. It was a head-on attack. This wasn't what Lin Yi had imagined. The cyborg's fist made Lin Yi's blood boil in his chest. It was a huge amount of strength. The huge force pushed Lin Yi back, and he fell to the ground. Blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. Heaven late stage. This cyborg actually had the offensive power of a heaven late stage expert. It looked like a normal punch, but it contained such explosive power. Lin Yi didn't expect it at all, and he was hit by it, suffering a serious internal injury in an instant. However, this wasn't the end of it. After the cyborg exchanged blows with Lin Yi, he was sent flying. He was sent flying as well, spitting out a mouthful of blood. It looked even more serious than Lin Yi's, but he was able to get up quickly. There was a dent in his chest, but it didn't seem to affect him at all. Even his speed didn't decrease as he ran towards Lin Yi again. Lin Yi was shocked. This was indeed unusual. The 5 cyborgs today were completely different from yesterday's. Not only did they have high attack power, but their resistance was also stronger. Lin Yi's flaming fist 10th move actually didn't do anything to the cyborg in front of him. Lin Yi originally wanted to use the art of dragon mastery to heal the injuries in his body, but he didn't have the chance. Before the cyborg could run over, the other two cyborgs had already reached Lin Yi. One on the left and one on the right, they suddenly punched at Lin Yi. Lin Yi was shocked. He quickly used the butterfly subtle steps to dodge the attacks of the two cyborgs. After all, the intelligence of these two cyborgs didn't seem to be very high. Their mobility was also restricted, and they weren't very agile. That was why Lin Yi was able to quickly get up from the ground and dodge the attacks. However, there was a saying that was true. One couldn't dodge the first attack, but one couldn't dodge the next. Lin Yi had just dodged the attacks of the cyborgs when the first cyborg had already arrived behind Lin Yi. He suddenly punched at Lin Yi and directly smashed Lin Yi. Fortunately, the jade pendant had already given a strong warning at this moment, so the cyborg's sneak attack didn't reach its maximum effect. Lin Yi had already used his vital energy to protect his body. Although his previous injuries had worsened, at least it wasn't worse. Go to hell! Lin Yi turned around and smashed the 11th move of the flaming 8 trigrams palm. Initially, Lin Yi didn't want to use this move. However, the cyborgs in front of him were too strong. So Lin Yi had no choice but to use his strongest move. Boom! Cyborg 1 and Lin Yi exchanged blows. Because Lin Yi had attacked with all his strength, he didn't reserve too much of his vital energy to protect his body. Therefore, the damage to Lin Yi was quite great. As the cyborgs flew backward, Lin Yi also flew backward under the impact of the huge recoil and crashed to the ground. This time, under the great power of the 11th move of the flaming 8 trigrams palm, Cyborg 1 was smashed into pieces. His entire body was turned into pieces, and it was impossible for him to survive. However, Lin Yi's physical strength had been severely depleted, and he had also suffered very serious internal injuries. However, Lin Yi knew that he couldn't afford to be careless. There were still two cyborgs attacking him from behind, in the van. The hypnotist stared coldly at the scene outside the van and said calmly, "It seems that this Lin Yi still has some tricks up his sleeve. However, he is now at the end of his rope." "That's true. I hope that these two cyborgs can kill Lin Yi." Xiao Chun nodded, but she still didn't feel at ease. Lin Yi used the killer's ultimate skill, butterfly microsteps, and avoided the attacks of the two cyborgs. However, Lin Yi knew that this was not a solution at all. If he continued to dodge like this, he would make a mistake sooner or later. Chapter 3399. He didn't expect these three biohumans to be so strong. It seemed that Zhang Wen knew that he would fight here, so he purposely sent so many masters. However, with Lin Yi's current condition, he couldn't use the 11th form of the Fire 8 trigrams palm again. He could only keep dodging. This way, even if Lin Yi continued to fight, he wouldn't be able to defeat these two. Lin Yi was very anxious. His stamina was also decreasing by the minute. Right now he was like a bow with a crossbow. Lin Yi's steps were getting slower and slower, and his movements were getting more and more strenuous. Right now, Lin Yi was severely exhausted, and he was also injured. If it wasn't for his determination, he might have died. Lin Yi is only Esozo. 3 biohumans already made him so miserable. If the ones from yesterday came together, Lin Yi would probably be dead already. The hypnotist smiled coldly at Lin Yi. "You dare to go against our master when with just this level of skill? You really don't know what's good for you. I hope Lin Yi won't survive today." Xiaochun nodded, relaxing a little. Right now Lin Yi was obviously at a disadvantage. From his point of view, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to escape. Watch out! Lin Yi dodged Biohuman 2's attack, but Biohuman 3's attack followed. It seemed that Lin Yi wouldn't be able to dodge it, so Lingshan immediately warned him. She subconsciously wanted to rush up and help, attacking Biohuman 3 with all her might. However, when her fists landed on Biohuman 3, it didn't seem to feel anything at all. It was as if it was completely useless, and Biohuman 3 continued to attack Lin Yi. "Everyone help," Lingshan said urgently. Tang Taizheng, eldest Tang, Second Tang, and Tang Yui heard her, and all went up to help attack Biohuman 3. Tang Taijung also knew that if anything happened to Lin Yi, then the hidden house Tang would be finished with him. However, these people were not strong. Even if they attacked Biohuman 3, they would not be able to defeat him. It wasn't able to deal too much damage to Cyborg 3 either. Cyborg 3's movement was only slightly slowed down, allowing Lin Yi to dodge the attack. However, just as Lin Yi dodged Biohuman 3's attack, Biohuman 2's attack came again, causing Lin Yi to groan inwardly. One Bio 3 was already something Lingshan, and the others couldn't handle. Cyborg 2 was coming again, and she couldn't deal with it. At this critical moment, she couldn't react at all. Niwa Sky Mending Art. Just as Bionic 2's attack was about to reach Lin Yi, Xiaoke yelled, and used her defensive arts. In fact, Xiaoke had been preparing for this, and now that she saw that Lin Yi was exhausted, she quickly used her ultimate move. However, they weren't weak, and their attacks were equivalent to Sky Class late phase. Xiaoke was only at the early phase of Sky Class, and even if she could defend against a Sky Class late phase's attack, she wouldn't be able to withstand it. It was also impossible to defend for too long. Boom! Biohuman 2's attack didn't land on Lin Yi. Instead, it seemed to have landed on a protective barrier. Lin Yi, at this moment, was completely free. He even fell to the ground. His physical strength had been exhausted. He had to restore his physical strength and true chi as soon as possible, and heal the injuries in his body. He knew that Yu Xiaoke wouldn't be able to hold on for much longer, so he activated the art of Dragon Mastery. He began to heal his injuries and recover his physical strength. Lingshan knew Xiaoke's defensive skills, and she let out a breath of relief, allowing the two to continue attacking Lin Yi. Old Tang Taijung was a Sky Class as well, but he was a Sky Class who'd gotten to that level through elixirs. There was a lot of water in it, so its attack power was very weak. When it hit Biohuman 3, it could not even cause him serious injuries. It could only cause some minor injuries, which made him very depressed. He couldn't do anything to help Lin Yi right now, so he could only watch helplessly as the two biohumans attacked Lin Yi. Xiaoke didn't feel much at first, but after a minute, a thin layer of sweat appeared on her forehead. She felt as if her physical strength was being devoured by a black hole, gushing out of her body like a tide. At this moment, she understood how difficult it was for her to defend against these two with her current strength. Their attacks were simply consuming too much of her physical strength. But, no matter what, Xiaoke had to hold on and create a chance for Lin Yi to recover his physical strength. Otherwise, Lin Yi would be in danger right now. Lingshan and the others were panicking as they looked at Xiaoke, but they couldn't do anything to help. They couldn't beat the biohumans, so they could only watch. Xiaoke sis, you have to hold on. Yushu had a lot of tricks up her sleeve, but she didn't know what to do now. But I think that we'll be able to survive this. Xiaoke replied in a barely audible voice. She was simply too weak, and she was holding on with her faith. Lin Yi was panicking as well, but there was nothing he could do. His injuries were too severe, and using the 11th form of the Fire 8 Trigrams Palm, had used up a lot of his physical strength as well. He also had to dodge for a while, and now he was almost out of energy. He could only hope that Xiaoke could hold on for a little longer. Time passed second by second, and sweat soaked Xiaoke's collar. Her face was pale, and her body was trembling. It had only been 2 minutes. But then again, with Xiaoke's strength, it was already a miracle that she could defend against the attacks of two Sky Class late phase masters at the same time. She had to hold on, she had to hold on. Xiaoke kept reminding herself, but her stamina was getting weaker and weaker, and she couldn't do what she wanted. She had no choice but to burn her own life force in exchange for a moment of safety. Xiaoke's faith was strong. Before it was for the orphanage, and now it was for Lin Yi. She would rather die than hold on. The people and things in front of her were getting blurry. Xiaoke gritted her teeth and started chanting the arts mechanically. At this moment she felt that her body was getting lighter. She didn't need to use all her strength, but she could still chant the arts. Her thoughts suddenly went back to that dark tomb. But the things that happened in there were so beautiful and sunny in her memories. The confession outside the tomb would forever be imprinted in her heart, frozen in that moment. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.